Gathered friends, listen again to our legend of fighting against God.
Welcome back to the Final Fantasy podcast, I guess.
I fight against God every day and I lose.
I'm your host, Max Dudek, and I'm joined with my lovely other host. Introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, Max. I didn't know you felt that way about me. My name is Katz. My current headmate doesn't have a name, but the rest of us call me Ghost Girl or Gigi. This isn't relevant. None of you care about that.
I am Liam, also known as Vahkiti.
I'm Nicrophora. I'm back again.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's lovely to be
guesting. Lovely to have you.
Unfortunately, Levi could not join us today because we had some scheduling issues this week.
I'm bad at communication.
Doing this show without Levi.
Best of us.
Doing this show without Levi feels wrong, and I feel disgusted to be here. But I refuse to miss out.
Me too. I feel disgusted.
It'd be lovely to hear his thoughts, but
I refuse to miss out on these shenanigans.
Anyway, the story we're covering for today is Reign of Shadows: The Untold Stories,
Yeah,
which is an
we read a
expansion
book.
of the existing canon serial Reign of Shadows, which tells the story of the trials and tribulations of the Matorn universe inhabitants under Makuta's reign when he is God.
There were no tribbles in this story. Tribbles is a Star Trek thing. What would the bionicle equivalent to tribbles be?
like spine slugs.
I don't know what we're talking about, but that's
Tribbles
okay.
are like tribbles are like the things that cats cough up. Only they are also like rabbits.
Tribbles are like just like they reproduce through mitosis, right? That's why the ship became overrun with them at the end of the episode? Or did they just breed like rabbits?
They reproduce
like
through
prototypes?
mitosis.
I was gonna compare them to prototypes, yeah.
Yes, and they're also born pregnant. So they can start they start reproducing right away.
No, just me.
I'm not even sure about that. But so since this is the only story we're covering for this session,
what do you mean the only story? It's so long.
Well, exactly. That's exactly why it's the only story.
It's
so we're gonna do things a little differently. I'm gonna go chapter by chapter, and we'll discuss our feelings on each chapter if we have them. If we have nothing to say, we shall swiftly move on to the next part of the recap.
Oh, right.
But I doubt
feelings
that.
About the story. I like this story.
Yeah.
Story.
All 18
I like bananas.
chapters.
Bananas are good.
No, they're not.
All right. So we shall start with chapter 1. So we have our girl Maku, and she's thinking about the Matorn's dire situation. And, the kind of the Matorn.
For a split second, I thought you were about to say they're the Matorn's diet.
Not yet. Maybe one day, if they're unlucky.
What?
But so the current state of things is the Matorn are working real hard for our god Makuta. But it's very oppressive and sad. So she finds the Toahaga and she's like, "Oh, some hope." But that is quickly dashed when she realizes they're under a trance from Makuta, thinking everything is fine and dandy in the world.
Everything is fine. Everything is neat.
Everything is
awesome.
That's exactly what they think.
Oh, yeah. That's that. You know what? Yeah. If there was a movie adaptation of this story, then Everything is Awesome should probably be the leitmotif.
I wish someone had written like a catchy earworm about living in a dystopia and being brainwashed into thinking everything is okay. It's such a shame that such a thing.
I always imagine this scene with like the Matorn like walking in line in chains with the Rakshi as just like that one scene from that one episode of Simpsons Treehouse of Horror when the aliens take over the planet and everyone's doing hard labor and Homer's just like, "Don't look at me, I voted for Kodos."
Don't look at me, I didn't vote for Makuta.
That's true.
Well, nobody did.
That's the problem.
Nobody did.
Well, I mean, I guess the Brotherhood did, but they kind of got their faces eaten by the leopards eating people's faces.
Yeah.
And Akmu definitely voted.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. And he's in a nice position right now.
Speaking of Akmu, can I discuss that I want to ship him with what's her face?
With Gavla?
You can when we get to the chapter when she comes in.
Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Time is a very hard thing for me to keep track of, and that includes when I'm reading about it.
There'll be more of those two together as well in future Vision of the Great Being stories as well.
Lovely. Good old cause and effect.
Good, and it better explore romance.
Anyway.
And if they hate each other too much for it to be a real romance, then someone needs to read Homestuck.
All right. So, in the Colosseum prison, the Turaga are angry about their imprisonment. They're like, hey, the situation sucks.
The Turaga are angry about their imprisonment, just like any elderly person in a retirement home.
That's true. Depressingly true.
Duma suggests patience and waiting for the stars to align to make a move. Which, that's pretty neat. That's a very Turaga thing to say.
Thank you, Duma. Very cool.
Spoken like a true Democrat. Wait until things blow over to do anything about it.
Yeah, because, that worked out so well when he was in charge of Metro Nui, right?
Yeah, no, he did such a good job of waiting that he fell asleep.
I want an alternate universe take on this story where they just did the thing right away.
There was actually a discussion in Essenger server yesterday about Turaga Duma as like a character, and there were conflicting opinions. Like he was like people were saying like he was a dictator and he was a bad leader, and like yeah he did, but I always consider it as more of a reactionary thing than something that speaks more to him as a person. Because, like, the worst I can say about Turaga Duma was that he was inattentive. And everything that he did in that period of time was a direct reaction to both the Matoran Civil War and the Dark Hunter War. And all of that, he was so detached from Matoran society that he blinded himself to what was really going on, locked himself in the Colosseum, and that just made Makuta's takeover that much easier.
That's one take. I could see it. There's a lot we don't technically know about him, so it's really up to interpretation.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of different takes on him.
Yeah, like really the only parts
I've seen other people, yeah, the only parts of Duma that are kind of bad are the ones when that we are the events we see when like it's not him,
Right.
On the other hand,
we see the most of Duma after the Great Cataclysm, actually, and he does quite a bit to try and redeem himself. Like, he spent 1,000 years in like the ruins of his city with the Rahaga and Kitongu, just trying bit by bit to put it back together.
I'm going to be honest. Duma seems like a pretty cool dude, except in this story where he's perfectly aware of what the Turaga can do to aid the city in this situation, and he's like, "No, we have to wait until the stars say we can do it."
Well, if they do they would fail. And then,
I mean, you're literally fighting God, where like in the actual you have to remember,
no choice but to wait until the.
You have to remember you have to remember in the original Reign of Shadows, all it took for Makuta to defeat even what I think it was either a Dark Hunter or an Order of Matanui member, one of the two. Yeah, it was Guardian. All he had to do was briefly focus on him, rip a hole in the ground to swallow him up, and that's it. He's dead.
Yeah, they can't be
Turaga wouldn't stand a chance if Makuta wasn't sufficiently distracted.
Okay, never mind. I wasn't thinking of that.
I just
find the statement "we can't do anything until the stars say we can" to be stupid.
You can't do anything, so don't even try. Get some help.
I think it would have just
do what Sonic does.
I think it would just have been better if he would say, "I have a plan, but it requires waiting." Instead, he leaves it up to the stars.
When has he ever communicated clearly?
He's not an ice guy. Why is he looking at the stars and saying we got to do what the stars say?
Well, he had to be doing. Well, what else was he doing other than just repairing bits and pieces of the city over the last 1,000 years? One of the first things he told the other Turaga when they came back to Metronui was he'd been studying the stars, and Madanui is dying.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pass the time somehow.
Okay, fair enough.
Got into a hobby.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Duma being into astrology is perfectly acceptable then.
Not to mention, at that point, there really weren't any other astrologers in the city. That was primarily a Komatoran job.
Yeah.
And the only other person that
be asked to do it.
Yeah, because he's more preoccupied with getting the Rahi back in check.
Yeah, plus Turaga inherently are just that's still expected of them to know these things.
They study the prophecies.
Yeah.
Am I just complaining for the sake of complaining?
Maybe just a little bit.
I think you might be complaining about the wrong thing about Duma, because my counterpoint about Duma is that we have all these things that he certainly did do to contribute to the broader efforts of the Matoran and all. But it's also notable, Makuta didn't make the Vahkiti. Duma very much commissioned those.
Mm-hmm.
So this entire brutal robotic, aren't they? I remember the 2004
we don't really see much of them until it's Makuta in charge. That's when they become more brutal.
But they've still got those capabilities built into them, and it seems like
there's a possibility that so Duma only mentions that he can use the Vahkiti. What if he ordered the Vahkiti? What if he was commissioning the Vahkiti? But
it was what I need is one that deletes your higher mental functions. That's really important.
What if Duma commissioned the Vahkiti but then got ganked by Makuta, and then Makuta ordered Naparo to hey, Naparo.
Oh, yeah, it's very subjective.
I have this great idea. What if those robot cops I ordered were fascists?
Well, yeah. Well, my thought process with them was the Vahkiti were genuinely just peacekeeping robots, and there weren't that many of them in the original days. But then when Makuta took over,
they also had a role in hurting Rahi when there's too much for the Toa at the time.
So it's all a game of interpretation at this point.
I always figured that during the point where the Makuta took over, he had Nuparu ramp up production dramatically so that he could better control the population.
Right, and that's a headcanon that makes Duma seem better, but it's we are all on our own.
The parts of Duma that are bad are also headcanon, because we don't
exactly.
have any reason to believe he was a dictator.
Yeah, the thing I was saying was maybe the Vahkiti weren't as bad before Makuta got a hold of them. Is what I was saying, and
I said, we just don't have.
It seems we're in agreement over that.
Yeah, we just don't have enough stories set during the time when Duma was actually in charge of Metronui.
Maybe we should fix that.
Yes, maybe
there's not much worth telling.
I remember a very specific thing being mentioned when we were talking about plans for 810 this year, and that's that before Bob Thompson quit the story team, they had originally planned on doing a story about. They had planned on doing extended backstories for Nadiki and Duma, and that's why the sets for Norik and Iruni were changed into who they are now, because those stories just weren't done. And then, of course, Bob left the team and those stories never came to fruition. So I'd be interested to talk to Bob about what exactly he might have had planned there, and maybe work that into a Myths and Legacy story somehow.
If he remembers after 20 years, but who knows? Be fascinating to find out.
That's a whole tangent about Turaga Duma for this one scene where he has 2 lines.
I am to believe that normal people have better memories than I do. So yeah, it's worth a shot. Anyway, where the hell were we? Was this
prison?
Was this
we're done with that. We finished with that.
Oh, okay.
I'm moving on to the next.
We've completed our sentence.
Was this digression my fault? I apologize.
So
I think we all just kind of went onto it, yeah.
If it wasn't my fault, I also apologize. It was my fault regardless. Everything is my fault.
That's a very healthy outlook for a very healthy person.
Yes.
All right, so Akmo has now been appointed as Turaga, in quotations, of Metronui. And he thinks about his loyalty to Makuta and how he believes the Turaga were evil. He's like, man, that Makuta sure is pretty based. Those Turaga were cringe. I don't like them.
I forget if it's stated here as well, or if that's like late. Well, it's not really stated. It's just a little piece of like narrative world building. But Turaga, again, going back to like Turaga Duma for a little bit, apparently his staff is just like a two-way communicator.
I don't.
Oh yeah,
that's
new in this. That's new in this story.
I don't.
I do like that. It's fun.
Yeah, very like technomancy.
Yeah,
it can apparently operate. It apparently can operate all the machinery in Metronui, and in fact is a required component of all the machinery in Metronui. Which is why
so he has a sonic screwdriver.
Yes, which it's what this it does glow blue in the movie and in this apparently.
Yes. Now I want to design a sonic screwdriver based on Turaga Duma's badge of office.
That'd be kind of
cool. Yes. So I always question why the Makuta appoints Akmu as a dummy Turaga, but then it was brought to my attention. The staff is required to operate all the machinery. That's why there needs to be a Turaga, even if
Makuta doesn't have any faith that he's going to get the job done. He knows it. Akmu knows it. He's just a figurehead, and he was very specifically chosen because it makes everyone else angry.
Yes. But someone needs to hold the staff, though. That's why he's there.
Yeah.
Someone needs to put the staff in things.
I mean, if he really wanted to get things done using that staff and have an effective figurehead an effective brain in the Colosseum, he could have very easily just like found a shadow Krata, put it in a Rakshi, and given that the badge of Turaga. The choice of Akamu was very deliberate from a social standpoint.
Yeah.
I think it may also be like this is not something that I put a lot of thought into while writing this, because this was established just in Reign of Shadows that that's a canon detail. So I was like, okay, I can change that. But I wonder sometimes, like, so Makuta's whole thing when he recruited Akmu, like he found him in the Sphere in 2005, and he was like, "Ooh, it's like a free worshiper I can brainwash." I like to real estate. Right. My perspective on Pterodax is I like to think about like what feelings he might have about things in addition to just his like, oh, I'm like the smartest boy alive, I'm so special, sort of scheming. And so I wonder sometimes if like Akmu has some sentimental value to him as like as like the one Matoran who at this point like believes in Makuta as his great spirit.
Well, that's definitely the way. That's definitely the way that he's been characterized in Ida's journey, where he always thinks of Makuta as like the one person who ever understood him. I do like that interpretation.
They have a very father-son relationship in a franchise that is utterly devoid of those words.
Mm-hmm.
Those words don't exist. Those concepts don't exist. This is the closest thing. This is the closest thing there is to that.
That's very weird, because, like, there's a bit of a side tangent, not to go off too long, but, like, Glatorian and Agori reproduce. They do have families, and Gresh is technically still considered a kid, but you never hear anything about Gladagori family dynamics.
What did you just say?
I think Gresh is just young. He's not a kid.
Well, I mean, he's as close to a kid as anyone we've ever seen.
Did you just say Gladagori?
Yes, just like combining the names. Yeah.
I've just never heard that, and it caught me off guard.
Hey, you could also take Magnans. That's another term we use internally.
Not a lot of them in this story, though.
Yeah.
Actually, possibly none of them.
Yeah.
That's
Just
correct.
do what I do and call them all. Just do what I do and call them bonkles and meaties.
Flesh bonkles.
Flesh bonkles. The Glatorians and Agories and Skrulls and all of them, they're the flesh bonkles, and then everyone else is the bonkle bonkles.
Anyway, meanwhile in the pit, Hydraxon
Meanwhile, in super jail,
Hydraxon and friends are like, Makuta hasn't touched this place yet. Wild. Guess he doesn't. He wants to keep the prisoners where they are.
Nice and wet.
Yes. But and that's the end of chapter 1. What are you guys' thoughts on chapter 1?
Yes.
That we haven't said already.
I'll be perfectly honest. I read all the way through this like at least a month ago now, so my memory of details is almost exclusively what I have in my notes. So.
See, this is what happens when you do your homework in advance. You're actually less prepared for the actual episode.
I have two extremes. I'm either like doing it all at the last minute, or I do it all so far in advance that I forget about it when it becomes relevant.
The brain.
At least when you do it at the last minute, it's fresh in your brain for the conversation.
Yeah.
The memories in the brain don't degrade. What you're having trouble with is recalling them. You need a better librarian handling the library of your mind.
Or I should have just taken more detailed notes. For God's sake, one of my my third note on this list is just return to Old War Rahi, and I swear this is like the 4th time I've had that exact note.
What you need to do is
you might have to start getting more detailed with your notes, buddy.
What you need to do is subjugate the first white blood cell in your body and hold her hostage in your brain
and make her Tarago of Metro Nui.
No, I was talking about Helrix. That's why I said
yes. Oh, okay.
White blood cells.
Yeah, spoilers.
Spoilers for future chapter.
Everyone knows that part. That's part of the canon of this story. Everyone who's listening to this podcast knows about that part of it.
They might not know what I'm going to rant about when we get there.
Ooh.
I don't know anything.
I have a thought on chapter 1, even if it's a bit self-indulgent to describe my own chapter, which is just that, it's interesting to reread this. So, I mean, I might as well mention, like, ahead of time that, like, the original Reign of Shadows was written back in 2016, like nearly 8 years ago, which is nuts.
2016? What?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the original Reign of Shadows Untold Stories?
Yes, the original Reign of Shadows Untold Stories. Sorry.
I thought you were talking about like the canon
so as you
one.
know, Greg wrote Reign of Shadows way after Bionicle ended, and it was really weird that he did that. I don't know why. But no.
G2 was already ending, but we did it.
Yeah, no, he just really came back to that and just had a hankering for Bazon. No, I wrote this back in 2016 originally and posted it to Archive of Our Own and on Tumblr and had like a little bit of I got a few people to read it there. And then I was much more recently reached out to, it was within the past couple of years, I don't remember exactly when, I was reached out to by Gonal about republishing it on Myths and Legacy. And I took that as an opportunity to revisit it and do sort of a director's cut. Add a couple of new things, like deleted scenes or stuff that is new in this version. And that was really fun and exciting. If I'm recalling correctly, a few things in this chapter were changed. A bit more focus on Akmu. And the one that stands out to me at the end here, it's always notable to me because this isn't ever followed up on in this fic, my bad, is the pit detail, which is that I was thinking when I was writing it of just like, oh, do I want to have like a Rudaka scene or something? Should she do something? And then I was
Should
like,
we do something?
Yeah,
we should do something.
The most interesting thing I decided that I could do with Rudaka is have like a Makuta not return the faith that she had put in him with all that effort back in 2005, and have him like not, and perhaps quite reasonably not trust her to like come back and help lead his armies. That he is somewhat ungrateful. Yeah. So that is where I left off on Rudaka for this. I thought about maybe if I could come up with other things, but that ended up being what felt most
things
realistic.
that aren't followed up on just to provide jumping off points for more stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very interested as well to see like what a pit mutated Rudaka would look like, because I don't was she ever like down there in the pit in canon?
I don't think she was she was imprisoned on Doxia during the latter half of 2008, and then they presumably would have sent her eventually to the, like, along with a couple of others.
Wait, no, she
would have sent her to the pit, the inside of the pit, right? After they fixed it with the staff. I think that was my understanding.
Yeah, I was going to say, she wouldn't have been mutated at that point, would she? Because the staff of Artaka would have fixed all of that.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame, because picture like a mutated Rudaka, talk about irony, right?
Yeah.
What an ironic fate that would have been for her.
Yeah.
All of the faces in the room slowly and with fear turn to me when the thought of a mutated Rudaka comes up.
I'm sure every Bionicle fan can be extremely normal about that thought.
I'm not sure about that.
I have no opinions at this time.
No comment.
I know, shocking.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Chapter 2?
Yes, chapter 2. It's time to chapter 2. I need to speed it up a bit. We're at half an hour in and we're only at chapter 1. Holy crap. All right. So this chapter 2, the Voynui resistance team, I'm bad with speaking today, sees a horde of Rakshi approaching the southern continent. And they're like, damn, bro.
Where the fuck is Valika?
He's puttering around in his shed.
He's off making riddles.
My son's has been downloading nipples. I built him a shed.
In Pometru, Nekten is terrorizing the local Matoran into working harder and is attacked by Huki, Hali, and Nuparu. And it's based on that one picture from Matanui Saga.
He was. Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah.
But no,
he was specifically sent there to lure out the Toamari so they could be captured.
Huki has my favorite line in this whole story. I don't remember if it's canon or from this new content or not. I don't remember when it comes up, so shut the hell up. I'm saying it now. It's when he just randomly just gets into sports minutia and he wants to know what Makuta's play style was like.
That's later on. I loved that dialogue. I was really into the. I'm glad to hear that. I was really into that Matanui Saga scene back in 2010 when that was airing, because that was one of the first like new scenes that was illustrated, and it was plausible to be canon. So me as a starry-eyed little 13-year-old. I was immediately pestering Greg, like, hey, can you canonize this happened at some point? Can we put it on the wiki? Because that's obviously the highest honor for anything. Back when I believed that. And he wound up relenting, and I was really fixated on Nektan back then. I even gave his weapon the name Crescent Scythe back then. I remember.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me. I remember feeling really proud of it because he said, like, oh, that's a nice name. No, I was so active in the Greg Q&A. You have no idea.
Congratulations. Words you came up with were printed on the canister of a Lego set, I think.
No, they weren't.
They were not. They were on the
name of the name of the weapons.
That's two people that have that's two people now that I know that have canonized weapons with Essenger and his Aqua Blaster Blade.
Oh,
I
mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Bruh.
I mean,
I think he went by Terak at the time.
That sounds about right.
Today,
all these different usernames.
Today he made a really big hammer.
Well, it was just the Wild West out there. I mean, I have so many things attached. Like, I made Gatherer and Onu Matoran, I remember. I'm the one who, got... Oh, I got him to say that the Toamari were freed from the mind control during Salmon's Tale. And I also got him to say that Blessedic's team died permanently. So that was fun. The fun one, this is probably one of the biggest impacts I ever made on the world. Just if you look up a Google search of Toa Plasma, that I made them orange. So sorry.
No, that's rad.
Sorry
I love
about that.
orange.
Yeah, well, I don't know why I did that. I don't like orange.
I regret my decisions.
But it is how it is.
I mean,
when I
fits,
think when I think of elemental orange, I think of purple or orange.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess orange fits.
When I think of orange, I think of orange. That's what you just said.
Yeah, you did say that.
No, when I think of elemental plasma, I think of purple or orange.
No, you said elemental orange.
Yes, we understand.
Confused.
But we understand what you meant. But
Okay,
I'm going to get back to chapter 2 real quick.
The canon name of plant life as an element is green. So
Toa of the orange.
Toa of green, Toa of orange. Let's have a pride.
Make sure to put the in.
Let's have a pride Toa team. Getting overly excited. I don't feel right being overly excited. Don't do this to me.
All right, so back to chapter 2. You know, so Nektan is bested by our 3 Toamari, and he, escapes. And the 3 Toamari decide to leave Benchanui because they're putting the Matorna in danger just by being around. And they're
we must go. Our planet needs us.
Except they're really not, because they're in danger anyway.
Yeah, but extra danger,
yes, they kind of are, because
degrees,
as long as Makuta knows where they are, they're going to keep sending troops after them, and they're going to strike at the Matoran first to try and get them to turn themselves in.
Fair enough.
So
anyway,
that's what I have written down for chapter 2 in my notes, in my summary notes. How do we feel about this?
I didn't immediately catch that this was based on that scene from Madanui Saga. That's really clever.
I'm gonna have to revoke your
your
Bionicle fan card. I'm joking.
Revoking Liam's Bionicle fan card would have disastrous consequences.
It's even on it's the picture on the website as well for the chapter.
Liam's Bionicle fan card is load bearing. He holds up this community on his shoulders.
One thing I will say,
he's like Atlas of Bionicle.
One thing I will say is that very recently we rediscovered the source files for a lot of the stock music that made up Madanui Saga. And since the original artwork was released in high quality, and recently we actually got the original master recordings for Michael Dorn, it would theoretically be possible to remaster all of Madanui Saga.
What if I did that? I do have the education to do that.
I may poke you about that. I'll send you the files later.
You might do.
I bet you can.
That'd be cool. We could do it for 2030 for
I dare you.
2029.
I dare you.
Oh yeah.
I dare you. I bet you can't, idiot.
Oh yeah, 2030. Yeah, that would be it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I dare you. I bet you can't, nerd. I dare you.
I will. I can. I can do it semi-easily. It'll just be time consuming.
I don't have much more to say about chapter 2.
I can do it. I can do it 9 times.
Homestar Runner will never forget you.
Well,
I will, but I don't count.
I like chapter 2 specifically because it has there, because of the connection to like a piece of artwork that I also really loved when that came out. That was like one of my favorite parts of Madanui Saga. So I was like, it's the guys I like, And
it also gives Nektan more character, which I believe he only ever actually had in Journey's End.
Mm-hmm.
The meanie man.
Yeah, he's another mystery character. There's a lot we don't know about him.
He's a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
That does remind me.
Wasn't he in Destiny War or something?
Briefly, but he's a very flat character there.
Mm-hmm. When was it that he was actually, like, how do I put it? When was it that Paraka, the Bionicle Stars set, was canonized as being Nektan? Was that like a Gregasks thing?
Well, it was written into Journey's End, so I think that was actually his intention. But Nektan,
I know they called it Paraka just because it was like a more marketable name. Because
I don't imagine it was ever meant to be Vizok.
No.
Yeah, because it was the complete wrong design for him.
It was blue though.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's probably all you need. It's the blue one, right?
I mean, look at Takanuva. Takanuva, canonically, the only thing that's different about his design is the color of his armor. He should look identical to his original set, otherwise.
Yeah. And now he has 2 staffs.
And that's pretty rad.
I forget. There was a story we read. I forget if it was this one or an earlier one, but it was like at some point Takanuva was musing to himself, like, at some point I should probably try and get a less unwieldy weapon.
Yes,
yeah, that's in this one later.
In a future chapter, and it's gonna be funny.
I love that.
We'll never get to it.
Yeah, I gotta hurry up.
That's maintenance.
Gotta speed up.
We'll be hearing so many interesting things about
literally hadn't gone through a physical
discussed.
change in the last year, but his set was a chibi for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
The Skrull could have just been a baby.
That's all I have to say about
scale with
chapter
each
2.
other.
Tahu has more meat on his bones because he's a fresh baby, fresh boy.
That's one thing that I always hated about Journey's End, just briefly, is like specifically the ending scene of Journey's End where like everyone's gathered around. Because like you have Tahu stars, you have Gresh stars, you have Takanuva stars, and they're all standing next to like Kina and Akar, and it's just their 2009 sets. And
you're talking about the comic, my bad. I thought you were talking about the book.
This is such a fanboy complaint.
I get that they had to do it that way for marketing purposes, but it looks so weird.
It does look weird. I do appreciate, at least in the artwork for Matanui Saga, that they like scale them
that's
up.
what I meant. That's what I meant. Sorry, Matanui Saga. Yeah.
No, but they are bigger though. Like they're
are,
like
but
accurately
they still
sized.
look out of place.
Why wouldn't
I
they
disagree. I think
especially
the height
Gresh.
is right.
Especially Gresh.
I don't know. His limbs are longer though.
If they had to feature if they had to put the new toys in the comics, why didn't they just make the old toys chibi?
That's so much more work.
I think what you're going to find that none of these grown-up adults cared nearly as much about Bionic as we did.
Yeah,
I mean
that's an absurd amount of work for like 2 issues.
Let's face it.
I care way too much about everything.
Let's face it. 2009 and 2010 had far worse sins in its graphics. Like all our sins remembered that showed the Great Spirit Robot as just a giant Toa Matanui.
Everything in the world. This world is made of sin, and humanity is nothing but sinners.
Anyways,
no more tangents for the rest of the year.
I cannot promise that.
I know. I wish I could stop all tangents from existing, but alas, I'm not God like Makuta.
Yes.
Anyway.
These are like the least interesting chapters.
Chapter 3, in the southern continent, a village of Matoran are saved from Rakshi by Prydak, and they're like, oh, whoa. Prydak states that the Baraki were Matanui's chosen rulers.
We've been saved by a shark guy. We've been saved by a cool shark guy. He's so cool. I want to bang him.
I love very specifically about when he's making his little speech, just to make his point, he takes off his helmet, purposely making himself unable to breathe for a moment, just to instill faith in the Matoran.
It's
like that's some dedication to the bit.
That dude is all about spectacle.
Yeah.
He is doing a very good political war guy. What's the word?
Demagogue?
Yeah, sure.
So he rallies the Matoran to his side, being like, "Hey, that's pretty. They're pretty rad. The Baraki,
yeah,
I love them."
I almost root for him. In fact, I kind of do, because frankly, he does kind of save the day for everything.
His entire invasion of Metronui is the one thing that distracts Makuta enough to allow the Turaga to take action.
Like, is he doing an evil plan here or what?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because he's kind of unironically a hero in this.
Well, that's because
I mean,
his
you know what they
is
say,
God,
the enemy of my enemy.
God is everyone's enemy.
Yeah, it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
You know, when villains fight villains, it's a toss-up, right?
Fair enough. I'm just Nektan is on God's side.
Yeah, well, God
because he's getting
riches.
paid by God.
Yeah, God hates Prydak.
I guess
God hates me.
Yeah,
Well,
even if Makuta has personal beef with Pterodax.
Yeah, I was gonna say even if Pterodax doesn't give a crap what the Baraki do, the Baraki still have unfinished business with him.
Liam, darling, he stopped calling himself Pterodax when he killed all of the other Makuta. He calls himself Makuta. He just calls himself Makuta now. He has claimed the title.
Mostly because the fans wanted him to be called that.
Yeah.
Greg had to
it's okay.
Dial it back.
Let's not split hairs. They're both valid names for him. They both work. We can use whatever we want.
That does remind me, next Greg meeting, I have to ask what he intended the Shadowed One's name to be.
He doesn't remember. There's no way he remembers that.
I doubt he even had a full name in mind.
No, he did. As the story goes, he did have a name for him. But
and then the
blowback
fiasco went so bad that he killed Ancient and decided,
I believe that the Shadowed One's name should either be Beingzak as a joke or Umarak as a not joke.
Umarak's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was expecting more backlash to that idea. Okay, never mind. I'm a genius.
So
no, that was like the one cool thing in G2.
Yeah,
Umarak was rad. Anyway, enough about Umarak, the one rad character I love in G2. Well, like
what? No
love for Beingzak are not appearing in this story.
Yeah,
no love for
he's not. He doesn't exist yet.
No love for Beingzak.
No, actually, you're right.
Correct.
So, Alec swims deep in the Silver Seas, and he's like, "This is the life. This is it right here." And uses a Zath.
Gotta find a MacGuffin.
How do we pronounce this? A Zath?
Zoth?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Zath.
Should we ask Greg?
Definitely. His pronunciation guides have always been so clever and really
the mask of fine stuff.
No.
It's the mask of summoning weird animals.
Okay, the mask
summon
of
a sea monster for his army, an ancient sea monster. And
that.
Kopaka is knocked out of his skiff as the monster swims underneath him. And he's like, damn, bro.
Yeah,
that thing's spooky looking.
Kopaka is on a little bit of a journey to the outside of the robot, apparently.
Yeah, he's going south.
I work alone.
Winter. Yeah, he's fleeing south for the winter.
I can't do a very good Batman voice for Kopaka.
Hold on. One of my headmates does a Batman voice.
No, but not right now, though.
Give me a line.
That's
Kopaka.
Okay. We're moving on to... do we have anything to say about Chapter 3 before we move on to Chapter 4?
It's mostly in between. Chapter 4 is fun, though.
I'm on a boat. I'm going to head outside the observable universe.
All right.
That's Kopaka, all right. That's Chapter 3.
Yes. No. Anyone have any other notes to say on Chapter 3 before we go to Chapter 4?
I already forgot what chapter we're even on.
Chapter 3. Do you have any notes on Chapter 3?
What are notes?
Chapter 4.
Never mind.
Let's do Chapter 4.
I'm going to Chapter 4.
Let's do it, Yar.
All right, so Brutaka is stuck on Artitax and waits for Axon to rescue him because he's his hero. Axon being Brutaka's hero, that is.
Good old damsel Brutaka.
I really like how it's made, like, it's always been ambiguous in the stories that were canon as to whether or not Brutaka himself was still in there along with the Makuta Antidermis hive mind. So I do like how this story kind of puts that to rest and says, yes, there is still a part of Brutaka still present inside of him.
Yeah, I really wanted him to not just be dead and gone.
I love this that we've made this good boy into our good plural representation. Very, very familiar. My experience of the world.
And our gay men representation, debatably. These two are fun.
I have one or two of those.
So meanwhile, Axon is traveling through a jungle on the southern island, and he finds the Citadel tribe, with the natives still inhabiting it.
Return to Old War Rahi.
This is what your note meant.
Right.
These are the ones with all the legs, right?
I haven't read Old War Rahi, but I imagine that it's, dealing with similar time periods and all.
I thought that's what this was in reference to.
No, this was from back in 2016. I think if anything, Old War Rahi is referencing this. Because I remember Gonal and Bobdo saying that Roustus was a huge inspiration for them in the creation of Myths and Legacy.
If it fits, don't look an old Warrahi in the mouth.
Yeah, because the whole plot of Old Warrahi is Axon in his conquering days on this island with these natives and sort of taking over their citadel.
Oh,
and then
Brutaka
and Hydraxon come along as like, hey, this guy needs to be he needs to be stopped. And then after all that, the Tatarak comes along and
There's
he's real angry.
Fanfic?
Yeah,
I'll take it.
So you're the reason the Tatarak you caused ball joints.
I'm responsible for ball joints. I regret my involvement in everything. You can't tie this to me.
You're the reason the Tatarak is the main character of Bionicle now.
Yeah,
I love that the Tatarak's whole tribe is trying to get revenge. Am I jumping the gun? Are we there yet?
No, we're in that chapter, kinda.
Yeah,
no, that's the next chapter.
That's the next chapter.
We are jumping slightly.
This one's Takadox.
Yes.
Whatever.
So the chieftain invites him to talk.
Artidax is an impenetrable prison from Makuta specifically, and Brutaka is like Palpatine up in this bitch. He's like all of the dark side, all of the Sith. Yada yada.
So the chieftain invites him in to talk, and it's revealed that the chieftain is Takadox, who has enthralled the natives using his hypnosis. And he fails to hypnotize Axon, and then he's like, oh no! And he runs away. Axon's pursuing him. Axon destroys Takadox.
I'm just imagining Takadox running away. He's like Zoidberg. Whoop, whoop, whoop,
he runs away.
Just imagine you walk into a meeting and there's a supervillain there, but the supervillain is a piece of seafood, so you can just eat him.
That's gonna be the thumbnail art. Just Axon walking in, and it's just Blue Zoidberg sitting on the throne.
Blue Zoidberg is canon, you idiot.
But
hold on, I actually need to Google that. Is blue was it Blue Zoidberg? I think it was Blue. Yeah, it was Blue. From Universe 1, from that one episode with the boxes.
I see.
So Axon destroys Takadox's breathing apparatus, and he's like, cannot breathe, I'm a fish man. And he's like, hey, there's a beach. Better start running, boy.
I don't know where it is. Better start running.
He's scrambling to the beach so he can, have a breath, get his asthma inhaler of the sea. So the true chieftain comes and apologizes to Axon about the situation, but unfortunately they don't know where Brutaka can be found, and that's
I like that
sad.
She's a girl boss. I like girls.
Yeah, more girl bosses.
Yeah.
Always more girl bosses. Whenever I get the chance to include like a nameless background character, I usually try to make them a girl, because Bionicle doesn't have enough. We need more girls.
I like girls. Everyone should be girls.
In but I can agree to that. Various positions in the world.
You two boy adjacent people, you need to be girls right now.
Yeah, better make it snappy.
No, thanks. Anyway, chapter 5.
Oh, I actually did want to mention one thing, which is that did you notice that in this chapter, Takadox is the one who stabs Axon's arm out and makes it so that it's no longer functional when he shows up in the original Reign of Shadows?
I had forgotten
that was even. I forgot that was even a thing. Arm wasn't even functional. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, it's a little connection.
Well, I read all of the required reading. Thank you very much, and the unrequired reading. I read all the reading. So
I read the optional reading 14 years ago.
I am very much aware that his arm doesn't work in a later chapter, and this is the reason.
Yeah,
and now we know, and now it fits.
Yeah, I wanted to leave Takadox's fate ambiguous, like whether he lived or died, and that's to me, that's the ending for him in my personal fanfics. I like that as his ending.
Well, someone's going to write fanfiction for your fanfiction, and he's going to live.
I will say, he may or may not be back in Vision of the Great Beings.
Oh yeah, that's your take.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm happy to leave him there.
Maybe he actually has an inhaler now, even though even though all the fish people have lungs again. He still has to have an inhaler.
As long as he survived and made it to the beach, he's probably alive.
Yeah. I want him to have a breathing problem. because it took him.
I mean, he kind of does. It's called guilt.
Maybe it took him too long to get to the beach.
Oh yeah, like he could have like a General Grievous rasping cough or something.
Yeah, so he went a little bit too long without being able to breathe properly, and now it's just
brain
permanent.
Cells.
Maybe
you lose brain cells if you're not getting oxygen. It's actually really, really dangerous.
Oh yeah, maybe he's stupid now.
You get brain damage.
Maybe he's bad at hypnotizing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yep.
Chapter 5.
Apart, idiot.
Get brain damaged, idiot.
No. So in chapter 5,
revenge.
Brutaka hears a scuffle outside his little prison cave, and he's like, "Hold on, is that my boy Axon?" But no, it's actually Tatarok and his boys, his squad. And
they immediately recognize him, and they realize it is time for revenge now.
You're the one who sent me to the mystery place.
Twice.
Yeah. The Tatarok was never going to be satisfied with just returning to its homeland. It wants revenge.
Yeah.
I think that scene is new in the Myths and Legacy version. So this part actually, I think, was in dialogue with Old Marathi.
I want to build taters.
Now, Huki and Maku are having a final meeting with each other while Huki's like, "I gotta go. The Tometru being here is making things extra risky." And Maku's
I have to go now. My home planet needs me.
My home planet needs me to leave.
Exactly. So yes, they have a tearful goodbye.
Simpsons reference.
Mm-hmm.
Rip.
Romance isn't canon.
Right. It's totally not canon. This was an incredibly platonic goodbye.
No. Greg is wrong.
Yeah. Overthrow Greg. No gods, no masters, no authors.
More so in the sense that what he's calling romance is not what romance necessarily is.
Right, precisely. Yeah. No, he
know,
has
it's
a very
like
limited understanding of it.
No gods, no kings, eat Arby's.
It's not that I'm disagreeing with what he's saying. Like, the concept of dating doesn't exist in the culture of the Matoran universe,
right.
but they're capable of the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want Huki and Maku to go on a date and for it to be incredibly awkward.
It would be so cute.
It will be cute.
When they end up on Spherus Magna, they'll learn that marriage and dating is a concept, and they'll be like, "Hey, maybe we should try that out."
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway,
glorious.
So the chieftain and Axon are on a ship, and they're sailing towards Artadex. That's the island, right? Yes. So, and they're like, they go and rescue Brutaka. They're like, "Oh, look at all this Tatarok. Wow, that's crazy."
And Brutaka's probably behind that.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many potato dragons. They must really hate your boy.
This is probably his fault.
Exactly.
They've got ball joints more than most.
Oh my god.
Oh god, get out.
Oh wait.
Throw him out of the boat.
This is your fault, remember?
It's the good old butterfly
I disclaim responsibility. Just claim responsibility.
Oh right, you're right. It's my fault. Everything's my fault. Yes.
Just tossing the ball joints around like hot potato.
Ew.
So far to the south, we have Kopaka once again, and he's like, "Wow, it's the Great Barrier." So he's at the edge of the universe, literally, and he's about to go in. And first he finds a Kanoki Volitak at the entrance of the little cave that he's about to go through, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna pick that up." And then he, takes his lightstone and he goes into the cave, and it's spooky.
Spooky.
And in that cave, he finds a carving that references Faber's Bowrock concept art.
No, not yet.
Yeah, but chapter 6 is up there.
Oh, is that later?
Yes.
Yeah, it's later.
Liam,
You're referencing
chapter 6, I think.
You fool, Liam. I'm the one that's supposed to make the podcast unlistenable, not you. Stop it.
Shut.
All right. Enough. enough of this fighting amongst ourselves. It's time for chapter 6.
Squabble like cuckoo-birds.
It's over a berry.
Exactly. So, Akumo,
We all have a duty to Matanui. No time to infight.
This whole thing is a load of duty, if you ask me.
So Akumo is getting a report from one of the Exotoa that a bunch of Rakshi have been destroyed. And he's like,
How the hell?
how the heck?
Makuta pipes up and is like,
Nope,
where
nope,
are my
nope,
Rakshi?
nope, not yet.
Again later.
That's
Makuta
way
later
later.
will be very upset that those Rakshi got destroyed and blames Akumo.
Yeah, so then a civilian comes in and is like, I want to talk to the Turaga, in quotes. And it turns out to be Gavla. The weird girl from
Aku's-
Cardanui.
The one true ship.
Yeah, they have a lot in
They're a
common.
cute chip, honestly.
Yeah,
I
they,
can see it.
every piece of
Kinda
shit
messed up.
has someone they could be with.
They're like these poor bullied outcasts. Yeah, I kind of like it.
So
I
yeah,
want them to be what if these two are the first Bionicles to share a kiss?
That'd be cute.
I want it to be Huki and Maku.
Right.
Oh, shit, you're
That's
right.
the classic one.
What if they
Yeah.
go on a
I
double
want them
date?
first, and then everyone
Double
can.
date?
else.
I don't feel like these. I feel like that's the two couples the least likely to go on a double date, especially after what happens later in this text.
Sitcom shenanigans.
Maybe a double date with like Metis or something.
Sitcom.
The snake
Of course
boy?
there would be menace. Of course there would
Yeah.
be menace. Sitcom shenanigans.
Right.
So
Fan
yeah,
fiction writers get on it.
so she pledges her loyalty to Makuta because, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have Tahu's team from the main Reign of Shadows serial, which is Onua, Jomak, Kraka, Lariska, and Kopek, the Chronicler. So yes,
Vriska.
so they're there at Daxia.
And Lariska. That's
I
right.
did not say her name.
And
She was
Larissa.
hiding.
Lariska and Vriska are the same character fighting.
Time to
I feel like I
back
said
into the risk
Lariska, but
course.
that's okay.
You two
maybe
don't
I
know who that is.
slipped.
You two don't know who it is. I'm referencing.
I'm just doing my job.
Mhm.
So
There's a character in Homestuck that's very popular. Her name is Vriska.
Yeah, I know her.
No, you
I've
don't.
read that bit, but anyway, this is I'm here to talk about Bonkles.
Mhm.
Because
Homestuck
we
Bonkles.
are an hour into this.
Yes, we're making good time.
We're about a third of the way through. We could manage it. Just gotta
Yeah.
keep
go.
the pace up.
Yeah,
The Doxia section is one that I was excited about because that's one of the biggest biggest loose ends that Greg just did not follow up on. He set that up in Reign of Shadows and it was going to be so cool, and then he just never followed up on that.
What
Right.
was
I
it he
really
set
wanted
up
to
there
explore
again?
that. You could
It's been
say
so
he-
long.
You could say he really dropped the ball joint on that.
Cease. Enough of this.
into the Parawiggler
Okay,
you go.
that's enough from me. Then but the Burrock. You wanted
Yes.
to talk about the Burrock
Into the
background.
ball wiggler with you.
Oh,
Into
no.
the
Yes, moving on
Borak
to the
jiggler for
Borak.
you.
So we got the Kabaka exploring the tunnels at the Great Barrier at the GSR's feet.
Always
And-
tunnels.
Always tunnels.
Arteries.
So he's looking and he sees the little pods of Borak, or at least they're not in there, but they're empty. They're empty. But yeah, and he's just like, "Wow, more of these? That's crazy." So so he finds the carving and he's like, the Toa, not the Toa, the Matoran could become Borak. Is it possible that all of them are capable of it? Huh? And meanwhile, me personally, my personal feelings, I think he's that's not necessarily true, because it could just mean Matoran, like Matoran. I think his
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
his
it's up to
imagination's getting
interpretation.
ahead of himself. But that's me.
Right. Yeah, this was brought on when that first defeat or not first defeat, Faber Files, post went up with that diagram of the Matoran and Borak together. I was so fascinated by that as like a kiddo whenever that came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would be so much cooler than if it was just the Avmatoran, because it didn't totally make sense to me that only the Avmatoran turned into Borak. Nowadays, I don't care as strongly about it, but at the time I was like, I gotta slip that in there and like suggest that it might be true. You know, my headcanon. Nowadays, I don't care so much about canonizing headcanons or whatnot, but at the time, that was a motivation. But I left it up to interpretation intentionally.
That's good. Because me, like, I personally see the Avmatoran, it just being the Avmatoran making sense because they're already kind of like unique amongst Matoran anyway, you know? So like them turning into Borak is just not, to me, it's not a stretch as them that just being one extra thing that's unique to them, you know?
Yeah, there have been plenty of regular Matoran exposed to energized protodermis, haven't there?
No,
Not
but
really.
But Borak don't come about from energized protodermis.
Hold on,
Yeah, they're from a different transformation or something.
Yeah, they just naturally turn into it. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them do.
I'm getting confused again. I'm low on headache.
The Avmatoran thing is confusing. But that's not the only thing in this chapter, is it?
No,
Bionicle's
we got
very
Kiara,
confusing.
the Toe of Lightning, who has been
Bam.
possessed by a Krana Vu specifically.
Zappy.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the next chapter's all about, I think.
Is that
All about? Maybe not all of it.
not all of it, but so she's floating and is like, I'm gonna fight you. You're gonna join the swarms, and that's chapter 6, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where exactly it was referenced that Kiara had been under the influence of a Krana at one point, but I do like that was worked into this. This is very cool.
This?
I like it.
Well, this, what else mentioned that?
It was probably some other Vision of the Great Beings thing that was
referencing this. This came first.
I don't know. Like, when you're working on these projects, what's canon and what's not gets absolutely scrambled in your head. So,
right. Yeah, this
That
was
sounds
like
like
I
a
said,
skill
this
issue,
is
my
I'm
guy.
not in charge of keeping track of the lore.
I keep track of it. I manage it well enough. This was back in 2016, so if a future story, especially one from Gonal or Bobjo, was referencing Kiara and Akrana, then it was probably referencing this.
Okay.
Because this was back when, like, when I was writing it, I was like, you know what? Like, I want to have a Toa and do a cool fight. And give Kopaka a cool fight. And I was like, let's do a Toa. At first I was going to be like, maybe a Toa Plasma or something, I don't know. And then I decided that a Toa of Lightning would make a cool fight scene, as we see in the next chapter. I came up with that idea, and then I was like, well, I might as well make it like a canon Toa of Lightning, right? Kiara's there. So her inclusion was like totally an afterthought. But I'm glad that it started to become like a whole thing, because it gives her like slightly more in her backstory. She doesn't really get as much as Ord and Zarya do.
Right.
I like girls.
Yeah,
I'm glad that she's here because she's a girl.
My question, I honestly forget if this was established here or not, but my question is what she was even doing there.
Oh, I have no idea. She's just there. She's just there.
She's traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was on a boat.
Every now and again, you go to the ends of the earth.
Maybe she was just in a boat, fell in the ocean, got shipwrecked, ended up washed ashore on the ends of the universe. Krana happened.
She was having a wild party weekend. Who knows?
Yeah, she did be traveling by herself. It's not like she has a team.
Come on, we've all been there. We got drunk on the weekend, stumbled around the city, and ended up running into God's janitors.
Right, and on a liminal haze
to
in an
honest.
island at the edge of a foggy gray sea with nothing in it. Yeah, I've spent a number of weekends there. It's a lovely vacation destination.
That old chestnut.
So
But yeah, that's my thoughts on 6.
I like the thoughts.
Anyway, I like girls.
Mm-hmm.
I like these thoughts in particular.
I like girls. There's a girl in this. There's a girl in this chapter. I like girls.
Mm-hmm.
So on to chapter 7. The Toamari have traveled to Stealth to find the Resistance's secret base, and they find the base. And Trinuma sends Nuparu to help Takanuva and Destral, and then Trinua also gives the Mari a mission to go to Zakaz and disrupt Nektan's plan of recruiting the rest of the Skakti for Makuta's cause, because, that would be inconvenience.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing in
imagine
the original Reign of Shadows.
not being a Bionicle fan and hearing that sentence for the first time.
Oh, good lord, yeah. Impenetrable.
Oh, yes.
Lots of jargon.
So now back to our friend Kopaka and Kiara. So, they have a fight. Kopaka defeats the Krana-possessed Kiara by trapping her in ice and peeling off the Krana.
And all throughout the fight, he's demanding, "What is your name?" And the Krana's like, "I am Krana, this one with the 2 letters. I forget already."
I think. Because that's the
and
flight
he's
one.
all like,
yeah,
"Not
that's the
you,
floaty.
not you, not you, Squish Bug. I want to know what the Toa's name is." And the Krana's like, "There is no
Irrelevant.
Toa. There is only the swarms." And he's mostly just distracting.
There is no Toa, there is only Zool.
He's mostly just distracting it, and then he's all like, "You are too busy using your power aggressively and not thinking about creative uses like doing this thing I'm about to do." And then he does a thing, and then she's not wearing a Krana anymore. So good.
Yeah, I had fun with that one.
In typical Gathered Friends fashion, he did the thing. And it was good.
And then it turned, I forgot what he did, but it was cool. And also, it turns out that Volotech he found, that was her mask. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How very convenient.
How very convenient.
So yes, that's what I have for Chapter 7. And that made me smile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had fun reading that.
I like it when girls aren't controlled by evil forces.
I like it when girls are controlled by evil forces, but to each their own.
Only I should be able to control girls.
Was it during this chapter or the next chapter where they go out to the hull?
That's
the next one.
Okay.
I will mention it when it happens.
My only other thought on 7 is that the Toamari get some banter in this one, and I had a great deal of fun writing it. They are a really funny group.
That was the chapter where they had
they talked about
Hookie talking about Makuta doing sport.
Yeah.
Just a surreal detail.
I like this chapter. It had a girl in it, and it had Hookie talking about sports. And how God Satan played sports one time.
Yeah.
I think Hookie would be
just a wild thing that happened.
I think Hookie
I
would
like
be
this chapter. It's comfy and easy to wear.
I think Hookie would be so dang excited if a Makuta challenged him to Koli.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm going to win. I'm the champion.
Wait, no. Didn't the Makuta challenge him to Koli when they possessed Mitoro?
Like in Donald's story?
I don't recall. Maybe?
He didn't challenge him to it, but he referenced it.
Mm-hmm.
I need an alternate universe where Hookie plays Koli with Makuta right now.
Would be so
good.
Make
it happen. Someone make it happen. Fanfiction. Go.
Mm-hmm.
Noted. I'm on it.
Anyway, girls, mind controlled or otherwise, are good. I like girls.
Mm-hmm.
Except
and
the
on
ones
to chapter 8.
Are not good people.
No,
because girls are people.
The girls who are bad people are the favorite. Those are the best girls. But
I like girls.
They are the favorites of the community. Like there is Rudaka.
That's true. As characters, they're very compelling.
Right, precisely.
Make good characters.
I wouldn't necessarily want to hang out.
That's great. I have at least 2 headmates that would probably get along with them.
It's a bold statement.
Anyway,
I have one in particular that would probably get along with them, but also annoy the shit out of them.
Just one?
The ones that wouldn't get along with them. There are ones that wouldn't get along with them and annoy the shit out of them.
Absolutely savage! My God.
Most of my headmates would not get along with them, but also annoy the shit out of them.
I'm so sorry. You just lined that up, and I had to take it.
No, that was perfect.
Moving on.
I have this clown headmate that has like a Vizon thing going on.
Yes, time for chapter 8. So, Kopaka makes it to the edge of the Great Spirit Robot Access Hatch and sees the endless ocean of Aquamagna and the Borak cleaning the rust and barnacles from the robot's surface. And he realizes how hopeless of a situation this is.
I think this would be like a great visual for a piece of art, similar to where we started on this podcast with Muzika and the visual of the Valmai Falls inside the robot on the southern continent. I think this would be a great visual, and it's very interesting how it establishes that, like, even when the island is cleared, the Borak's jobs aren't necessarily done. They still need to clean, like, debris and rust and everything off the robot itself.
Right, and they're not really on the face of it. I think that is one detail that I added here, that they're...
These are ankle Borak.
That they're everywhere, like all over the robot. Which makes sense to me, that after 1,000 years in the ocean, that robot would need some cleaning.
Yeah.
I've been reading a lot of anime. I've been watching a lot of anime and
I am a dirty
manga.
boy. It is time to take a bath.
Right.
I've been reading a lot of anime and watching a lot of manga recently. And one of the stories that I read, 108 chapters all in one sitting. I was very tired afterwards. I don't know why I was able to read so much. It's called Land of the Lustrious, and I'm going somewhere with this. So most of the characters are immortal, as long as pieces of themselves can be put back together. They will never die. The closest you could possibly get to killing them is by grinding their bodies into dust and spreading them all over the moon. And that just so happens to be what one of the characters who desperately wants to restore some of their lost friends to life finds out. And that is, I think, a similar type of hopelessness to what Kopaka is feeling just now.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that, this planet is nothing but ocean. This planet is nothing but ocean.
This part of the story is actually my favorite moment in the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
It feels... I like how bleak it makes things feel. And also just like the image, the mental image is just... It goes so hard.
The moon thing is actually the entire reason I finally read Land of the Lustrious after knowing about it for years, because I find the concept of a story about this level of hopelessness be interesting.
Yeah.
This headmate represents depression, by the way.
As does Kopaka and the Borak nest, I suppose.
Yes, just the idea
this
that
quiet moment.
I can save my friends. I can rescue my friends. Oh, they're all ground to dust and coating the moon's surface.
And we're never escaping the endless ocean. We're stuck with
we're never escaping the endless ocean. Land of the Lustrious has a somewhat happy ending for the gemstone people that got dusted, but not for the main character.
Anyway, back to chapter 8. So Tahu's team of rebels arrive at Doxia to destroy the last pool of energized prodermis. Tahu relays the plan of attack to the team. Onua destroys the mountain, and the operation begins. As Tahu and Jomak are about to destroy the pool, Makuta speaks through the Rakshi and makes his presence known, and Makuta commands his minions to drive Tahu and Jomak into the pool. And that's the end of chapter 8. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What an unfortunate turn of events for our protagonists. Oh.
I zoned out because I was worried that I probably shouldn't have spoiled that manga.
I wonder what they'd mutate into if you got Tahu and Jomak in a pool together.
I don't know.
Jomak, Joe Mama. I hold on. I need to.
It's Jover.
Jover.
It is Jover.
What if it's just what if you get Tahu, you get Jomak, put them in the pool,
and Joe Biden pops out?
No
more of this.
President Grover Cleveland.
What?
Transformation or destruction?
Protodermis. Everyone is confused.
You never know what you're going to get.
Even Makuta, he just stops whatever he's
like,
doing. He just stops whatever he's doing in his tracks. Maybe he's like, I don't know, going for a walk along the ocean planet. He just stops and he's just like, what the fuck?
What is that fleshy thing?
I think it's funnier if he's just like, wait a minute, U.S. President Grover Cleveland?
Okay, enough of that.
Well, that's going in the thumbnail.
There you go. All right, on to Chapter 9, which I don't think includes Grover Cleveland, but maybe it would be improved if it did.
That one's got Bob Dole. We'll be all right.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, enough of that.
So Onua and Kraka fight valiantly against Makuta's army, and Lariska has disappeared. Oh no. So Makuta's about to kill the Shadowed One in Zaya, because we're here in Zaya now. But the Shadowed One was like, "Hey, I got the virus. If you don't want me to release it, go away." And then Makuta's like, "All right, fine." And then the Shadowed One's like, "Psych, I'm gonna do it anyway."
Do you know who I am? Yes, I do. And
do you think he has COVID-19 in that box?
Probably.
So it releases the virus, and the Shadow One escapes from the factory on Zaya, followed by Sentrak. And Makuta's like, "This is not nice. I don't like this. This annoys me."
This is the most, like, how do I put it? This series of events from this point onward is possibly I love it, but it feels just a little bit contrived.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
The Shadowed One unleashes the virus. Predoc invades Metronui, and Matanui gets his cheap hit in all at the same time.
Oh, and
that's what good storytelling is all about, my friend.
And
don't worry, it's destiny. It's destiny.
Right?
That's how stories work.
And Velika gets off his ass and pushes a button.
Oh yeah, Velika pushes the self-destruct button.
Wow, we really skipped. We've skipped right ahead.
Yeah, good job, guys. All right, we're done the episode. Let's go.
We're done.
It's because Liam's ranting about how there are a million ways that Makuta's plan can be thwarted, and they all happen at once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
oh, we can't forget about the Taraga's plan either.
It's time to rant about emotional stakes. It's time to rant about storytelling. Let's do it.
Also, one thing I want to add about this sequence on Destral, I think, is that
when they're talking on Zia,
or no, we're with Joe Mack and Tahu and his team.
Doxia, yeah,
Doxia, that's right. Is that this establishes here that Kanoe Nuva can be shared with non-Toa, and I found that very interesting.
Wasn't ever stated that it can't do that? I just don't know.
It wasn't stated that it can't be, but it's still interesting that it can be.
But I always assumed that was the case anyway.
I don't know if Joe Mack is capable of wearing Kanoe, but it would be interesting if he's not, because that would mean that even characters that are not capable of utilizing Kanoe at all can still have the powers shared with them.
That's always been true. It's been true for Mator and Rahi.
What is
at one
Joe
point,
Mack?
Greg said it was even the Magnans could be.
Interesting.
Joe Mack is an unspecified species, and she turns herself into glass and floats around. I don't know what her deal is.
Yeah, she turns into a cloud of glass shards.
I think there's an X-Men that
I
think there's an X-Men that turns herself into glass.
That's probably part of where the inspiration came from. You know how Greg was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
To me, my X-Men.
So, where was I? Yes.
End of chapter 9.
Sorry, what'd you say?
My next note here is just Velika time.
Well, that's not happened yet,
yeah,
so
that's
we're getting
way later. Oof.
Yeah, you didn't take a lot of notes in this section.
You didn't take a lot of notes in the story.
Yeah.
That
note is like about near the end of the story, so you know.
That note's like, okay. Well, that's still like halfway through my notes, so.
Well,
so you had a lot of thoughts at the end, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should try and get there.
Yeah, I'll try and get
sleeping.
there.
My fault. Everything is my fault.
Well, let's move along.
Yes.
Move along like I know you do.
Yeah. So, chapter 10. Yes, chapter 10. Lariska
this one's all new, I think.
Lariska.
The scene at the end. Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
The scene at the end is all new in this version. Yep. But yes.
Vriska from Homestuck, yes.
Sorry, my bad. I'm losing it. I'm losing my marbles.
And then Vriska from Homestuck appears and says some shit.
Lariska saves Tahu and Jomak from their predicament. They escape outside and regroup with Onua, Kraka, and Kopek. And
all Kopek has to say is ellipses, and I love that.
Yeah, that's true. That's who he is. Anyway, they succeeded in their mission. Hooray!
He's very autism. He's very autism.
Oh, Kopeki, love him.
Now, Makuta is having trouble locating the Shattered One, and he asks Helrix for Helrix. Oh, these names are tough on my tongue after many hours. And so he asks Helrix for advice, and she tries to bait Makuta into using Spinax, but she fails. Because Makuta's like, nah, it's not a good enough idea.
I'm allergic to pit hounds.
So she tries to... No, wait. I was just reading the same note once again. Whoopsie. Hold on. So Makuta decides, I'm going to kill the Baraki because they are able to give the info to the Shadowed One about how to spread the virus to me and kill me.
The virus.
Yes. Where was I?
The virus.
Yes. So then he checks in on Akmu and learns that his Rakshi guards have been destroyed, and he's like, what?
I'm very disappointed in you, son.
So what's been going on here? Then Akmu is like, it's the Av Matoran. They're like an army of Takaduvas. And Makuta's like, oh yeah, Tridex had that crazy plan that maybe that could be helpful or something. I don't know. But then,
and he goes to grab one of those.
That's what I wrote down for chapter 10.
Are we there yet?
No. Soon. We're about to be there.
My only thought on this chapter is that the Makuta and Helrix conversation is actually new in the Myths and Legacy cut of this. That wasn't in the original. But I like it. It kind of bleeds together things and gets, like, there was a Makuta point of view thing at one point. This really expands on that. The downside of that is that in the time it took me to write this scene, by the time I got to the end, I was like, fuck. Am I shipping this now? He's kind of shippy with Helrix. And I'm like, that wasn't intended, but now I can kind of see him having like a one-way nerdy creep crush that she's not into.
This whole thing with like Helrix in the core processor and Makuta talking to her is just like the Peach interludes in Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door.
I haven't played that, but I take it as a compliment. People love Paper Mario.
I like the text that she seems to be losing her mind because she quite literally just exists. She's basically an imaginary friend at this point. She's literally trapped in his brain.
Yeah, it's a sucky place to be.
She's trapped in there. She's trapped in there with the desiccated corpses of two Glatorian, I might add.
Oh, and Miserix pretending to be a painter.
Yeah.
Just like a really weird living situation for her.
Yeah. Anyway, I ship it. It's a toxic ship, but sometimes you need those. Sometimes you need those in fiction. You need those.
Love those toxic ships. I find Pterodax way more interesting if he's like kind of obsessed with Helrix and she doesn't care about him. You know, because I could rant about it, but for the sake of time, let's move along.
I really like how calm and collected she was about recommending Spinax. It's just like she knew, like both of them knew that she was manipulating, but like she's accepted this as it is, and she's not gonna like go ape shit and try and destroy everything, but she's not gonna make it easy for him either.
I just love the shipping dynamics and would appreciate that rant, please.
Oh yes, I mean the short version of it maybe later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So anyway, that's chapter 10. Hooray!
So anyway, I started blasting.
So in chapter 11, we go to Takanuva on Destral, and Nuparu is like, "Hey, yo,
Wait,
this
chapter
teleportation
11.
console, it's pretty busted, I'm afraid. Anyway, peace. I gotta go and find my boys underwater at Zaka's. See ya." So Nuparu leaves.
Did we skip the part where Makuta summons the Shadow Takanuva?
We're not there yet.
Oh, we're not there yet? Okay, you said
No.
it was chapter 10 that was a note in, but okay.
No. I said we're about. It's in the next. We're in the chapter now. Where that? Well, not
Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
Just
Sorry,
I will
sorry.
recap. I will recap, and then you will know.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself. I hardly trust anything else.
So Takanuva discovers a chamber of dead Shadow Takanuva in Destral, and he's like, "Yo, that's spooky. I don't like that. That's some goosebumps stuff right there."
Yo, this is the most fucked up thing I could conceivably ever find, ever.
Right.
So then the 3 Uber Shadow Takanuva who are
It got worse.
who are still alive are like, "Hey, give me that power lance for a second."
How about we just roll up like we are going to beat you to death?
I love this whole sequence. It's like the Shadow Takanuva just come out of hiding and it's like, "Hey, you want to have a panic attack, kid?"
Yeah, this has got to be. This is like when you're talking. Imagine just walking into a room and to find shadow corpses of yourself. You can clearly tell, oh, this is me. They're all me, and they're dead. They're evil, and they're dead.
Yes, wow. me.
Yeah,
and then they try and kill you.
Yes.
And then the survivors try to kill him.
Yeah, so they tried to kill him, and then Pahatu comes and rescues him, and they start fighting the Shadow Takanuva. The bad boys escape, and Pahatu convinces Takanuva to let them go so they can focus on helping the Matoran. So so now they're loose in the world. The gang is on the loose.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
On the loose, nothing you can do.
This was a fun chapter, because back when I originally wrote it, I stayed up really late to write it, and I spooked myself with it and tried to make it a real horror movie sort of scenario.
Well,
and in the original,
you did great.
Thank you. In the original version of it, it actually had a way more a contrived ending where I had him knock them out and then take them to Krakua and be like, "Hey, do the clack scream, do the roar," and free them. And they were going to be part of the Toa army or
do
something.
The windy thing. Do the windy thing.
It's funny
I
because
eventually decided that's too much. That's too corny and
that's too happy.
Too easy a win. It's too happy. Let's make it more messed up.
Well, what's funny about that is that's exactly how, well, not in exactly, but that's how the situation is resolved at the end of Mazika as well. After the Shadow Takanuva are defeated by him and Pterodax, Takanuva and Krakua come in and fix the ones that are still alive.
Right,
John,
I think that might have been...
Do the windy thing. That
might have had something to do with the original version of this, where that set up Takanuva and Krakua are gonna go around and cure all the Shadow Takanuva. And then I was that's lame, actually. So I rewrote it when I republished it.
Some of them still ended up as mangled corpses, but don't worry, they were just dropped into their respective universes without notice.
Just oh hey, here's your dead Takanuva. Bye.
Oh, how I love corpses.
Return to sender.
So well, what an unfortunate thing to deal with.
Yeah, poor Takanuva. Needs therapy.
So now it's time for chapter 12. I think we said some nice things about chapter 11.
12.
It's time to duel.
What did you say?
I said it's time to duel.
Wrong season.
Maybe another time.
I don't think there's a duel in this one.
Yes. So, the Avmatoran from Cardanui destroy a bunch of Rakshi and Metranui, but are apprehended by the brainwashed Toahaga, and they're like, "Why did you break these Vahkiti for nothing?"
As if you need an excuse to break cops.
I know, right? Based.
all Vahkiti are Paraka.
So then, in the Colosseum, a shadow Takenova meets with Akmo and Galva, and Gavla. Here's one of Max's tangents from episodes that I very rarely do.
The guy who or person who makes masks, rather.
No, well, yes, but that's not
masks.
what I'm talking about. It legit took me like a decade to realize Gavla's name was not Galva.
Oh yeah, this happens a lot.
It was like a big old Mandela effect for me. I was just like, what?
Real.
And it's funny because Gavla was the one Shadow of Torrents that I got in 2008. So I had the box still, and I looked at it, it's like, it says Gavla. I've been misreading it for 10 years.
What if there was a Matoran named Berenstain?
Oh gosh.
So anyway, this is when the Shadow Takenova shows up, and Gavla begs him to drain her light, and Akmu is like, "No,
please live out my vampire fanfic dreams."
No, if I call her
Gavla, it's because of that. It's just like
if I don't get to have nice things, neither do you. So he comes up with an excuse why she's more useful not having her light drained, and it's a good excuse because he's a good politician. He's a good politician in that he's a terrible leader. But he's good at pretending that he knows what he's doing.
That's still a bad politician. But anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. A good politician. There is no difference between a good politician and a bad politician.
Oh, well, I'm a poli-sci major.
That's some anarchist rhetoric right there. And that's a bit silly. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway. Yeah. So Akmu is like, no, we can't. You can't have your light drained because we need you for camouflage. You being able to camouflage your armor makes you useful for espionage. But he's actually, it's like, she'll just be a mindless slave if she has her light drained like that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have that. Also, I want to be a Shadow Toa.
Actually,
right. Although I think in this scene he's wondering if he
says if he
really did.
Yeah,
he's
like, actually thinking
did
the
I
opposite.
really want this?
Yeah, he has doubts about it.
If I'm understanding correctly, if you have enough shadow in your heart, you can just become you can just become an elemental being of shadow.
Yeah, but it takes like careful meditation, like torture or whatever. Like Radaka managed it, but I don't think anybody else we know of has managed that intentionally, except for.
So it's basically like turning someone into an inquisitor.
I just think it would be neat if Akmu could become a Shadow Toa. I know he apparently doesn't want that, but what if he finds a way to retain himself?
It could have been.
He was originally supposed to when Icarax came to Metru Nui,
right, yeah.
And that was actually referenced at some point earlier on in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's like looming over him. He's like, oh, I could have been a Toe of Shadow. And I think at the start, he kind of has this character right at the start of this fanfic. He kind of is like, oh yeah, I believe in Makuta. He's done so many good things for me. I wish I could have been a Shadow Toa and served him, but I'll have to do the best I can as a Turaga. And then by this point, he's starting to be like, maybe it's not good to be a Shadow Toa, and be like, and maybe I'm in over my head. This seems a little messed up.
I just really want it to happen, though. Make him a Shadow Toa fanfic writers. Do it.
It'd be so cool.
Do it. And make him make out with Gavla, who is his girlfriend, and they hate fuck. And they hate fuck on the reg. Homestuck all the way.
What was that about being mellow?
When I get overly excited, some of my more annoying headmates can't help themselves.
So
to Voyanui.
Yeah, so to Voyanui, Balta is depressed, and Garan is looking to repair his weapons.
When is he ever not?
They're out of battery because they have batteries, apparently.
Power cells. But Velika is underground humming to himself because, he's just the coolest. So
he's humming to himself in riddles.
We already talked about pretty much what we thought about the bulk of chapter 12. So I'll just move on to chapter 13. Unless we have a comment to talk about Balta's depression, Garen's resource management, and Velika's humming.
Kalika hums to himself with the same tone as riddles. I don't know what that means. Just go with it.
Chapter 13. Maku finds Gali in Karaka's nest and informs her of the Avmatorn's capture. Now, at the Great Temple, at the Re-Education Center, Akmu welcomes the Avmatorn, and he's like, "Hey,
this is some, like, how do I put it? I feel like there's more world building like this that could have gone into like other stories like this. Like, it is very in character for Makuta to just start throwing people into concentration camps like this.
It's a pretty
fascism
good
moment.
Epic fascism moment.
He's reading the evil overlord list.
Yes. So Gali and Maku
checking the boxes.
Oh, that's why he put a Matoran in charge.
So Gali and Maku infiltrate the temple via the attic and discover imprisoned Matoran with infected masks, which they can't really save because logistically it's a nightmare.
There's a lot. There's too many of them.
I'm not sure if it was intentional, but the way you put that, like the way you summarize this right now, it makes me feel like this is a thematic parallel to the Great Temple scene in Web of Shadows, where, you know, like we have the good guys going into the temple and Vakama invades through the attic and fucks everyone up. And now we have the opposite. The bad guys are the ones in the temple just proper doing their own thing. And the good guys are the ones infiltrating through the attic.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Web of Shadows furries are real.
Yep. There are fewer furries this time around.
Yes, that's a shame.
Yeah, no, I missed a spot. Clearly, I should have included some.
You need to be furries everywhere.
Akmu threatens to infect the Avmatorn with an antidermis Sammer sphere, and right at that moment, Maku reveals herself as leader of the resistance. She comes out the pipes.
Okay, shoot her with the sphere then.
Yeah, he tries, but then Gali creates a shield with her Hao Nuva around Maku and the Avmatorn, and they push Akmu. Maku pushes Akmu out the bubble, and is like, "Get out of here! You're cringe. I don't like you."
He should have probably practiced with that thing.
And then they escape the temple. Hooray!
Hooray! Everybody's safe and happy. Yay!
And then at the end, I remember adding a fun little bit where Mako was like, "Oh, there's no Toa in Metro New anymore. It's a shame. I wish there were some Toa." And then Tuya teleports into the archives. Just like, ooh, real monkey's paw moment there.
And the Brachus monkey paw curls.
I had a lot of fun with this chapter, both in the original and in the rewrite.
I demand praise for remembering that there was a monkey in Bunkles.
Congratulations,
monkey.
Thank you.
I rewrote a fair middle chunk of this when I was redoing it for the Myths and Legacy cut. Actually, a lot of the Akmu scenes got a touch up with some more detail and nuance and some more perspective of how he's going through things. In the original one, he was very much just a slimy little snivelly coward, the way that a lot of the fandom just sort of caricatures him as just haha, lame nerd. But in this rewrite, I really wanted to try and get into his head a little bit more, because he's not doing good things, but he has his perspectives on how he's trying to justify it.
He's trying his best. He's doing his best. His
best is just not very good right now.
He's not a good little boy.
He's in a bad situation.
But from a certain perspective, one could say he is.
From a certain point of view, the Jedi are evil.
And yet he still holds a gun to Maku's head and is "Oh, I'll turn you into a total brainwashed zombie."
Yeah, he's almost intimidating here.
I know. And then he messes it up.
There's been a shift in community discourse regarding Akmu since G1 ended, I think, where prior to present day, I guess, a lot of the discourse was oh, he's a sniveling coward and stereotypically mustache-twirlingly evil, but he's more of like a goon than an actual like
he's a pawn.
planning villain.
Yeah.
But
he's bullied
now
and manipulated.
There seems to be a lot more of a shift towards the idea that he's only doing it for validation.
Mm-hmm. And also,
he's still a redeemable character in a way, and I like that people are giving him a little more nuance.
Right,
as
like
of late.
my introduction to Akmu, because my confession is that I didn't actually play the Matanui Online game back in 2000. My bad.
Well, now who loses their fan card?
I know, yeah, I'm losing mine. It was like I'm
to the great temple
gripping
you
that
go.
card. I made plasma orange, but but so my introduction to Akmu was actually in the 2004 books when he comes across as this bullied kid who's getting roughed up by these mobsters, Nadiki and Krepka, right? And he's very sympathetic in that arc. Even though he's a guy who sucks, but he sucks in a very normal way, like the other Metronui Matoran, like Viscera, etc. He was always sympathetic to me as a result.
He drew a picture, and he drew a picture, and he wants Daddy to hang it up on the wall. But the picture is of him shooting
Maku with the Zimmer spear.
Yeah,
just executing her.
I do think that coming at Akmu from a 2004 exclusive perspective initially, coming at him from that, I think is probably a good idea because a lot of people's perspective of Akmu is painted by Matanui Online game.
Where he's
of course, that being like the first thing that he was in. Mm-hmm. And looking at it from the perspective of his original character without him having been brainwashed or anything, I think gives you a more pure look into who he actually is as a person.
And he's still a
dick. It does show that a lot of sucks. Oh yeah, he's still a dick, but most of what he's done from that point onwards has just been manipulation of his already dickish personality by Makuta.
Mm-hmm. The thing is,
I don't think could have been Uri or Viscera or someone instead.
But the thing is, I don't necessarily think people disagree with that. At least I don't think, because at least if you read the books, it's very obvious that it's a result of him. His actions in Matanui Online game is a result of Makuta's, kind of propaganda.
Yeah, I woke him up and just lied to him.
Yeah, but the thing is, I feel that there's a degree to his nature where, he feels it's easier because of him already being kind of not a great person. It made it easier for him to go through with all that, easier for him to, believe the propaganda,
All Makuta do is scheme, make they rahi, eat hot chip, and lie.
Yeah. I don't really believe in, inherent good people or bad people to agree. Mostly just actions and, incentives and stuff.
Yeah, but that's
kind
what
of
I mean.
Bigger
it's just that his personality, he's just not a good guy,
Right, so that's more of an innate sort of he just sucks. And there's nothing you can do to change that.
He wasn't evil before, but the thing is, it's the propaganda just exacerbates his he's not very different from how he was in Metronui, is what I'm saying.
Kind of a nature versus nurture argument.
I don't know what Akmu was up to during the Civil War.
No, but I think who he was a product of his environment. I'm not saying he was created that way. I'm saying that that's just the natural, his personality in Metronui is just the natural way he was based on just how he lived, his life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, because it's that's just because bad people still exist in the world. They're not bad at birth, but, things happen,
Right. I wonder what his backstory is.
Those great beings.
I just think his personality-wise, he's kind of a not good guy,
He's a bit pretty cowardly is the worst thing that I can say about him personally.
Those great beings that abducted Voltraz would probably be very interested in studying Akmu.
Yeah, they'd probably pick him apart like a bug.
I wonder what he was up to during the Civil War.
He might not have been born yet.
Yeah, he might not have been created. We don't know.
Yeah.
Oh.
we don't know when exactly any of these most of these characters were created.
Yeah, we don't know their ages,
Like
which is really not
specifically,
consistent.
you know.
What would he even do if he was a Shadow Toa? Because he's only ever really done stuff that other people want, that other villains wanted him to do. He's a follower. What would he even do?
You'd probably just be like a glorified Rakshi, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what he would. And it seems like in this past chapter 12, he seemed like in this story, he decided he didn't want to be that. But
fanfiction
doesn't
writers
manage to really break away from it.
Fanfiction writers, I challenge you, come up with something for Akmu to do that doesn't as a Shadow Toa that doesn't feel like it's coming out of left field.
Anyway, I gotta continue.
14, chapter 14.
Yeah, so
yeah, we're halfway there.
Yes, so
we're more than halfway.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
So Kopaka and Kiara meet with the rest of the Toa Nuva except Liwa, and Takanuva. And they have learned that Makuta's forces are gathering at the south, and a goal is made to trail Makuta's forces and destroy them once and for all. Meanwhile, Zaktan, in his cloud form, he's going to Zakaz, and he's like, I'm gonna go into this little fusion dance we're doing down there, so I can be part of the golden skin being.
Yeah, I actually had a fairly big conversation about this in the Myths and Legacy server a while back. It's like,
yeah, I remember that.
This feels like something that should have some payoff later with the Goldskin being himself, but I don't know.
That's up to you. My perspective when I was writing this, it's kind of like Takadox, right? Like I was like, this to me is like an ending or a possible ending for Zaktan, right? And I wanted it to be ambiguous. Like maybe he wound up in control, maybe he didn't, maybe he thought that he could, or he thought that the alternative also sucked and he might as well take a gamble.
Maybe a Goldskin being without Zaktan particles would have been a nice guy.
Yeah, who knows? Or just a little bit less cunning. Who can be sure?
Maybe,
but this was where I plan to leave off with Zaktan.
I think the whole point of the Goldskin being is that he's true neutral.
Mm-hmm. Well, he does seem a little too interested in conquest for me to think of him as true neutral.
Yeah.
But he's maybe surrounded by some bad influences. He's only really interacted with a bunch of Skakti who wanted slaves and Samad and Anona. So he's not exactly if he's a product of his environment, it's not a good environment. He might be a little bit too fond of slavery after some of his friends.
When someone claims to be neutral, they're really just in support of the bad guys.
Yeah, that's sometimes true.
That's usually true.
He's an enlightened
That's a matter of perspective. Anyway.
But yeah, who knows? Maybe Zaktan is calling the shots or influencing them. Maybe he isn't. I'm not going to comment on it. To me, this is the end. I feel like
he probably is, at least dominant.
It is a similar personality, though.
Yeah, I agree. I've always got that vibe. But there, there's so little we know about it that like you can.
Right, it's so subjective.
You could put what's the word? There's a word in English. You can attribute your own kind of interpretation that you already have in your head onto it, and it like still works because it's so it's vague enough, that it fits everything.
Mm-hmm. Such a blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
Blankety blank blank.
So chapter 15.
Blank-skinned being.
Kopaka finds evidence that Makuta is misdirecting the Toa army to the wrong southern chain of islands. The wrong leg, essentially, and Tahu trusts his judgment, makes the decision to follow the other path, but leaves Onoa and Takanuva to guard the Alindaran to prevent Rakshi stragglers from warning the rest. Pretty smart. Lariska finds a shadowy figure sneaking around on stealth and follows him down a secret passageway, I believe. I think that's what it is, or something. Follows him, period. And it turns out to be the Shadowed One. Oh my god, I need water. Turns out to be the Shadowed One, and he interrogates her about Tren Crom and how to find the core processor. And it's really traumatic because she's like, I tried not to think about that because that's Cthulhu right there.
Cthulhu makes me crazy in my brain, and thinking about him hurts, so I don't want to think about that. And Shadow One's like, but I need it, so I'm gonna use
too bad, and forced her to tell him.
I'm gonna use my crazy discs on you.
The crazy discs.
That's
Real.
what it is.
This was another like horror movie chapter for me that
literally
Mm-hmm.
about obtaining Cthulhu's secrets.
Right, yeah, it's very like Lovecraftian in that regard. It's very this one's caused some discourse, some discourse before, and I think that's valid and interesting. My comment on
I'm sorry, did you just say Lariscourse?
Lariscourse.
You stop that.
Very Homestuck of you.
Lariska Circuit.
There's a scene in Homestuck where two characters are talking about stakes involving a character named Jake, and they're only the Jake stakes.
Oh, naturally. My only comment on this at present is that, like, this was 2016. I had just done my first year of undergrad, and I think I came home and watched Jessica Jones with my mom, the first season, which was actually good. I don't know. I didn't watch the other seasons. I wasn't interested anymore. But the first season was such good horror television that, like, we couldn't get through more than an episode a night. And so we were watching that, I think, the same summer that I wrote this. And I think you can really see some influence with that there.
The shadowed one, but entirely purple.
Yeah, the purple one. But I was also friends with someone who was really into Lariska. I was also friends with someone who was really into Akmu, and we all like shared a lot of notes and like worked together on their plot lines. So those ones have some influence from these other friends as well. And I think one reason we wanted to go in this direction with the Shadowed One and Lariska was we liked to, in our writing, we liked to see them as like this very abusive, manipulative, like boss dynamic, where the Shadowed One really treats her pretty horribly. Like, if you just look at canon, he treats everyone pretty horribly. The Dark Hunter's Guidebook is basically like a catalog of him being like, here's how I emotionally manipulated this guy.
Doesn't she have at least one prosthetic limb because he cut it off?
Ripped off? Yeah, no, so he's messed up. So we wanted to explore some more like really nasty, scary, emotional abuse sort of vibes with him. And I think that was one motivation for this very, very frightening horror movie scene and subplot. That's my comment at present.
The Jake stakes.
Nasty stuff. The Jake stakes. The risk course.
All right. Well,
I agree.
With everything ever said.
I don't.
I disagree with everything ever said.
Oh wow! 2 nights stand before you.
No, I just think I think about it, and I agree or disagree based on how I feel in my heart.
Enlightened choice.
I think no. Liam is a knight. I think my class spec would be Prince of Time.
I yield to your superior Homestuck knowledge.
Yes, I read the whole thing. I've even read
zero.
I've even read one fan comic.
All right,
passive tolerance. 16.
Maybe you should do a Homestuck podcast. Not me. I'm not doing it. I haven't finished reading it.
No. You can be the Levi of my Homestuck podcast. That I won't.
No, thank you. I can't
do.
be. I've already read most of it.
Oh, okay. Who hasn't read Homestuck?
If anyone would be the Levi, I would be the Levi.
Okay, Liam. One day you're going to wake up tied to a chair. Wearing
forced to talk about Homestuck.
And tied to a chair, wearing a sexy chic fursuit, and
no, not this again.
Talk about Homestuck. Yes.
Why is this a recurring theme?
Yeah, I'm getting tired of it.
No, I'm not talking about the Homestuck thing. I'm talking about the sheep suit.
I don't remember.
It's like the 2 recurring themes on the show were like the sheep suit and the sandwich joke.
Love a good sheepskin.
Anyway, I'm going to have another energy drink. That seems like a bad idea, but I don't care.
Yeah, don't do that then.
Too bad. I wonder if the opening the drink showed up on the microphone. Probably
it did.
I could hear it.
Yeah. So anyway, chapter 16. As Prydex armies approach Metro Nui, Makuta drowns their ships. See, at this point, I was rushing to finish my notes.
Oh no!
So I'm a bit more succinct in my notes on this at this point.
Well, Liam's notes are about Valika, so all of Liam's notes.
Can't be as
No, I've
succinct
got
as Liam.
I got a good few notes here.
Liam has an entirely Valika-based consciousness.
Yeah, there's like 3 bullet points.
Liam has never had a single thought that wasn't about Shovel Man's God McGee.
So Prydex armies are approaching Metro Nui. Makuta's like, go away, and then Prydex like, no. So then Makuta drowns the ships, and he's like, I'm not done, and he continues. Big dang sea monster is summoned, and he's attacking Makuta's warships.
I would like to mention. I just wanted to mention about this scene in particular before it gets kind of glossed over, but like this scene, it's heavily implied that this is Alec is using Mavra's Rahi here, which is one is really cool.
Rahi.
One, that's really cool. And two,
stated, I think.
I mentioned in the last episode that the vision Vakama had during Invasion would be paid off here, and this is where that happens, and that's really cool.
That was written in as a reference?
Yeah.
Nice.
Liam, it's outright stated that these are Mavra's Rahi somewhere. Well, I don't know where
again, it's been like a month since I read this.
It is actually stated.
Okay,
they got you there, Liam.
Yes,
your face is stated.
Me. Yes, well, I'm me, and my memory is. What are we talking about?
So,
it is mentioned. Yeah.
Yes. So, they're fighting on Prydex side. The Turaga form the Turaga Nui and escape their cell.
I love this. I love this so much.
I got this idea from
the first time a Turaga Nui is ever seen in canon, and it's like the best possible moment for it.
It was so fun.
This is it. There are no Toa, but now there's a big boy.
Now there's a bunch of Turaga that has the power of one singular Toa.
There's
a final fusion.
There's a large elderly NB, and they're going to kick your ass.
This is one detail of this that I can't claim credit for originally coming up with. This one is me referencing an artwork drawn by Verano. I don't know. You probably are aware of it. It's an artist
animator for me once of Bionic Lucy back in like 2011.
Amazing.
He did the dancing Jala animation that the Beaverhouse still uses to this day.
There you go then. Small world, small fandom. But yeah, no, I saw his, he had a couple of humorous artworks about like the 2010-2011 story, and one of them was a Turaga Nui thrashing Akmu, and I was like, that's so cool. I gotta put that in a story somewhere. So that's part of what this came from.
I gotta see that artwork now. That sounds really cool.
I have to find it.
It was on his DeviantArt.
It was on his DeviantArt. I gotta find it one day.
Way old. You can tell it was way old because it was on DeviantArt that I saw this.
Oh,
ages ago.
Oh wait,
yeah, I can find it.
Are we talking about different arts?
Different art on DeviantArt?
No, by Verano.
Yeah, no, I'm finding the Turaga Nui one.
I was too busy thinking about myself.
A classic mistake.
Yes.
I hate myself.
Well, that's a heavy thing to discuss and kind of beyond the purview of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I like that the thing is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, this was one of the first scenes I wrote when writing this story. I was so jazzed for it. I was really excited.
Good. It's time I also enjoy jazz. I also enjoy jazz.
So the Turaga Nui tries to save Akmo, but Akmo is like, nah. And he runs away. The Matorans seek shelter in the archives.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
You're making so much work for yourself, Liam.
Yeah, I know.
Meanwhile, in Voyanui, Velika has freed Umbra, and he's just like, here's a proverb.
Go nuts. Go nuts.
Ponder this on your way out the door.
Big if true.
Does this mean that so Umbra sees Velika and doesn't question his presence?
Well, Velika is God. He can just be like, don't think about that right now.
God than God.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear.
Oh.
Presumably, Umbra was created by the Great Beings, so I think my assumption when writing this
everyone
was
here was
Velika
created by the Great
probably tell him.
Beings.
Right, but like directly by the Great Beings.
Oh.
Like the Great Beings put the Bionicle that is Umbra together.
Hey there, I'm just a little bit. Hi there, I'm just a little baby. Don't think about that. Do. Here's a proverb. Don't think about where you heard. Don't think about where you heard it
just
from.
like shows up and just appears mysteriously, like gives you like a really weird artifact or something, and then just says something like, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy," and like walks off. And you're like, "The hell was that about?" And you wonder that for the next 7 years.
Umbra has had some weird shit happen to him in these last 3 days. Like
Umbra's a little bit weird himself, though, to be honest.
Like
Dude rides on laser blades.
Like 2 days ago, he's just like, well, like 2 weeks ago, it's like, what? This Paraka and a dragon are just making their way out, and now like I'm going to deal with a random Atari.
Yeah, months ago at this point.
What is time? When you live in a cave, what is time? I was going to say,
to Umbra, it was probably like a week ago.
Umbra enjoys the shadows in Plato's cave.
But anyway.
Yeah, Umbra's out here living out Plato's allegory of the cave.
Yes.
Just like, oh my gosh, is this what like a real Matoran looks like?
No, it's not. Not at all.
That's not a real Matoran, that one.
Not even close.
Yeah. That's not even what they're supposed to look like.
It's not a real Matoran, and it's not what they're supposed to look like.
So, meanwhile, the Toa are outside on Bara Magna fighting in the battle.
Good.
Between the big dang robots.
I think it was around this point as well that Kiara met up with the rest of the group. And a quote that specifically came to mind that was a little hee-hee-hoo, cheeky bullshit was, not that it matters, Kiara reminded herself. We just have to get through this war, and then I never have to speak to either of them ever again. And then the yesterday quest happens.
Yep. She says that thing about that. She says that thing about the characters from that story. Yep.
Yeah.
That was me having a little fun.
Sand isn't a real element.
Yeah. God's Lord. Yeah, no, I was having some fun. I think this one is new in the Myths and Legacy version. I added this bit just so that there was something that the whole Kiara scenes were like building to. It's like, hey, we're setting up the yesterday quest. Fun stuff. Sequel hook.
Mm-hmm. I don't think girls need to have a point. They can just be there and all.
That's true. Sometimes girls should just be there, and this in and of itself is inherently valuable. But
we should
narratively,
we should have fun in stories. That is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
If you're not having fun when you're writing a story, then what is it even for, really?
Yeah. So, Matsunui and Makuta are also duking it out. But that happens also in mainstream stuff. Yeah. So we know about that.
Somebody stares up at them and thinks, wow, I wonder what this war looks like from their perspective.
Yeah, the only reason I included this brief scene here, I think, is because in Journey's End, Matsunui doesn't really, ever address the fact that, hey, I'm punching Makuta, and every time I do, my own people are dying. Which seemed kind of messed up to me. And so I gave this, brief line where Matsunui is just, coping, it's for the greater good, trust me. Where it's it's an interesting detail about him that he decided you know what, I will sacrifice untold numbers of them.
Every time he punches Makuta, 10,000 people die.
You could look at it this way: of the biggest game of two brothers playing, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself.
Yeah. It's also in this context, it's also a matter of survival, because if he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just called Two Brothers 100 years.
Yeah, Makuta's manipulating him by being hey, you should back down, or else you're gonna keep killing your people. Neener.
Yeah, it's just called Two Brothers. Rick and Morty, 100 years. Rick and Morty. It's just called Two Brothers.
So,
17.
Yeah, chapter 17. The Toahaga join in on the siege of Metronui. That's That's nice. I like that. I like having them around.
Yeah, somebody powerful just snapped their fingers and undid the mind control.
Yeah, that happened off screen.
Yeah, that happened in the main one, the main story. The thing that this is connected to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I did read the parts that weren't included in the parts that we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
I did reread the parts that didn't feel like they were in this part.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah, it's definitely in dialogue. It goes in and out the Reign of Shadows.
Yeah, Tread snapped his fingers and undid the mind control because he was like, fascinating. Fascinating. They're crazy. I'm going to uncrazy them.
Yeah.
So then, and then we go to the Shadowed One and Lariska and Centric trying to go to the core processors and stuff on their way.
There's another quote here when they get there that was really funny, probably unintentional, hee hoo, but the mouth of Makuta, Lariska hissed. Can you hear him whispering? He's right behind you, all around us, above and below, swallowing us whole, as above, so below.
Oh, huh. Yeah, no. That is a normal phrase, above and below, but you're right, you did add
and you hear the people
good old coincidences.
Right. Linguistic convergent evolution.
Good old common English phrases. I love it.
Right, yeah.
I know that's like a common thing, but it's like it's funny how that found its way into Bionicle now.
Mm-hmm. There are two completely unrelated SCPs called As Above, As So Below, and As Below, So Above.
That's
or something.
Funny.
One of them is about universes obliterating themselves. And another is some temple doing weird shit. I don't know. I haven't read that one. I haven't really had the attention span to read that one.
I haven't read any SCPs.
Oh.
But such is life.
So yes. Indeed. So Lariska's trying to talk the Shadow One out of destroying Makuta's brain, and he's just like, "Get off me, woman."
He didn't drink his respect women juice today.
Big gone, fuck.
Actually, he messed up. He went to go drink his respect women juice, and he messed up with a soda fountain. And he got some horrible concoction that makes you do the exact opposite.
The unrespect women juice.
Right.
The disrespect women juice.
That's not a word.
The horrible slop that gives you gas?
The Misogynade?
That's good.
Thank you.
It's the lemonade that kills you with extra misogyny.
So yeah.
Thanks, Panera.
So yeah, that happens. Now Velika is standing in the chamber of life.
I love everything about this. This is like, out of everything that I've called like slightly contrived, the fact that the Mask of Life's pedestal just has like an off switch to the whole universe underneath of it is just one of the stupidest things I've ever read, and it's so beautiful. I wouldn't have it any other way.
It's not something that anyone would ever think to deconstruct. It's like...
Except for the great beings.
Right.
Except for the great beings.
It's like the secret access hatch.
Yeah. It is like robot after all.
Yeah.
It's like when you disguise technology to look like natural environments, you're not it's a good disguise because no one is going to think, oh, I'm just going to take this rock apart and it's going to have a secret off button to the universe.
This is the equivalent of that one part of Sonic Adventure in Knuckles' story where he has to get into Red Mountain, so they give him the shovel claws and he has to dig up the destruct monkey switch in order to get past a badnik and open the door.
Speaking of shovel claws, that is a character in this.
So it is.
Oh, so he is. Yeah, he's turning the off button.
Don't worry, it was gibberish. It was actually gibberish.
Confirming Velika is Knuckles.
OMG.
I bet he can glide.
True.
I bet he can glide. So great being powers.
Unlike Angons, he doesn't chuckle.
Enough. So So Velika,
Cries of pain.
so Velika turns off the power source to the robot, and Makuta is just like,
oh
I'm
no,
tired.
Oh no, my heart stopped.
I'm having a heart attack.
Oh, I just died like 7 times at once.
Multiple things are killing him.
It's hilarious. He got poisoned. He had a heart attack. He got hit in the head with a fucking moon.
Well, that's about to happen.
Final word of this.
And his brain got blown up by sea monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of.
And all the suns got blown up?
I like all this for a couple of reasons. One, I like how it has more characters involved in Makuta's downfall. So it's kind of more like a team effort sort of thing rather than just, Matanui shoving him and Tahu distracting him a little bit. It's like, it's just a more like a unifying thing,
Yeah, that was
everyone's working together to like in different ways to allow
without even realizing.
It wasn't just smacking. It wasn't just smacking him in the face with a moon that killed him. Makuta is smart and has the resources of an entire universe. He could have survived that, but he was distracted by all of the other shit going on.
Yeah.
And he didn't have time.
He got hit by the moon because he was distracted in the first place. He was staggering. Matsunui was able to bring the moon towards him because of that.
No, he pushed him into the moon.
Exactly.
Makuta's good, but see, the thing is, he is good at multitasking, but he's not good enough at multitasking to deal with all of this shit happening at once.
Especially if it's affecting especially if A, he's getting brain worms, and B, he's having a heart attack at the same time.
He's getting brain worms, he's been poisoned, he has a heart attack.
Just the entire universe goes, fuck this guy in particular.
This is like what happens if you're playing D&D and there's a particular person or character that the DM just really doesn't like. And they they just do everything in their power to kill you in several different ways at once.
Yeah, good times. I remember when I snuck into that cave full of Yetis. Good times. I remember.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. So I like how it makes it even more of a team effort of like the universe as a whole, the Matorn universe as a whole, and also on top of that, I find it just really like dramatically satisfying because it's just
we also can't forget also at this exact same time, while he's having a heart attack, being poisoned, getting brain worms, and in the path of moon, all of his Rakshi are wiped out also.
Exactly. Yeah. So on top of just
having a bad day.
Yeah. On top of that, it just makes like it extra like. What's the word? It just extra reinforces how like
it's just
how
extra
utter of a defeat he is experiencing, and it makes his death like just even more like because there's always going to be someone who's going to be like, oh, why didn't he just dodge or whatever,
Why don't
there'll always be someone who
dodge?
There would always be someone who thinks just the Rakshi being destroyed is not enough to wouldn't have been enough to distract him. Like they would have felt that it was a stretcher, whatever, right?
And, oh boy, can we offer you some alternatives?
I hate people. People need to die.
Okay, let's not get dramatic here.
Destroy all humans. We need to kill them. All humans.
No, relax.
Destroy all humans? I haven't played that game. I hear it's good.
So, I don't care about video games. Just kill all the humans.
I just like how all of this just makes it even like I don't know. It just makes it more intricate and just like less. There's less wiggle room for how this could have gone differently.
I like it. I like it.
This is it's like Destiny is like it's time for Destiny. You cannot escape your fate. There's no way you can avoid this.
There's an alternate timeline where it was where all of this shit didn't happen, and it's just the Rakshi that was meant to distract him. And like, did you really think you could hit me with a moon and I just die like that, like a bitch? And then they just keep punching each other.
Yeah, it's kind of an unsatisfying ending, that one.
Yeah, exactly. and that's why that's not fun.
And
that's why stuff like this is better storytelling, in my opinion.
I also quite appreciate the visuals here in universe when Makuta is in his downfall, and we get treated with even more upside down Metru Nui, which I've always loved that visual. One of the first things that I explicitly wanted, like, worked into our canon when we started the Vision of Great Beings project was, I know the comics are like usually considered like dubiously canon compared to the books. It's like the old Star Wars canon where there's like G canon, movie canon. Yeah. But I always liked the idea that he got hit in the back of the head and fell over forwards, because that sets up a lot of interesting world building for future stories when the robot is being disassembled. And now we're starting to see the fruits of that. And there's an entire story upcoming for Vision of the Great Beings that takes place in Metru Nui in this state. And I can't wait for people to see more of it.
Good.
Hell yeah. But yeah. One more note I have about all these things happening at once. So it's like, I personally, I was satisfied with like the climax of the 2010 like Journey's End, just like with the way Makuta dies, you know, like the whole circumstances surrounding it. I personally was satisfied, but this to me is like even more satisfying, especially considering that, you know, this is representing like the end of the original storyline of Bionicle. So like having more layers to it, I think is even better. You know?
Layers.
To emphasize, I'm not dissatisfied at all with what we got. I thought that was also still very like big.
Bionicle is like onions. It has layers.
Indeed.
It's what was I saying? What we got was still like pretty grandiose, and I think that's what should be important for like the big finale of like the mainstream line, you know, the main storyline. But I think this just cranks it up to 11, you know.
Yeah,
this one's about me having fun.
It's suitably over the top, and I think that's something that was kind of lacking in the original ending, because it was it's one of those things where like, this is good, but it could be better.
Right.
Yeah, but you could say that about anything. I was satisfied with how over the top it was in the story and what we got. I just think this goes even further with it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this. I'm glad that it sounds like you guys did
loved
too.
everything. I loved everything about it. Of particular note, I like the most that Valika did one nice thing as a great being. He helped,
when the new villain takes down the old one.
Yeah, he helped take down the old villain. Technically a good thing. I mean, it's also the last good. It's also the last good thing he does, great being or otherwise.
He just becomes a mediocre being after this.
Yeah, I don't quite remember what Valika contributed to 2006 as a character, but
I made the Zamors that cured people.
He made the
and also his biggest contribution, in my opinion, was just being the coolest character.
Yeah, no, he was so fun in 2006.
Okay.
But yeah, that was part of what I enjoyed about this story.
My memory is very bad, so I guess it's just finding out that Valika was a great being just colored my perception of him completely. So I couldn't remember. I cannot think of him as anything other than a huge asshole. But just seeing him not be a huge asshole for once in his fucking life, I really need to. I should probably familiarize myself with what he did in 2006.
Yeah, that's kind of the most of what we actually have on him.
Kind of the most based Matoran.
He's a fun one. That's why Greg decided to make him not a Matoran anymore.
Everyone was like, when everyone found out he was secretly evil, everyone was like, "Whoa, was the Voyanui resistance? Fuck, is that
my
all?"
Boy. That's my boy.
But now we get to the most important part of the story. Pre-Doc becomes handsome again.
Yes, handsome Squidward moment.
So yes, so the Baraki, you know, are in the upside down Metronui, and they're like, "Oh, this is not good." So Prydak's like, "Let's go outside."
Okay, we've defeated the universe. Okay, we've defeated the universe. Oh shit! Now the universe is defeated. Now what do we do? Let's go outside.
Mm-hmm. So
why can I breathe?
So they escape outside, and Prydak has been transformed back into his himself, and he's like, "Oh, I like this, and I like this beautiful new landscape. It's gonna be mine.
It's a beautiful new world to conquer."
Yep.
Reminds me of that Mantax Facts episode from Spirit. What a wonderful world to conquer.
Oh yeah,
I love how he finally conquers Metronui and then the world immediately blows up. That was one of my favorite things about in the story. He's kind of a funny character sometimes.
Good times.
Mm-hmm. But the Turaga Nui also steps out the hatch. They of the robot, and they lead the Matoran out, and then they what's the word?
Unfuse. Defuse.
What are they? Split up. They go back to normal.
Defuse is a Yu-Gi-Oh card specifically for unfusing a fusion.
Yes, I know. Anyway, mind
hamburgers.
Yes. So yeah, the Turaga are just like, "Hey, we're done. Peace." Peace has happened.
Peace has happened. Yes,
doesn't it? I believe it literally ends with gathered friends, doesn't it?
No, in the time before time, actually.
In the time before time,
gathered friends. In the time before time, bonkles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I thought that was a very good way to end it. I thought that was very thematically appropriate.
Yeah, especially since this is like a companion piece to like the final story of the mainstream Bionicle storyline.
I think what this story really needed was for someone to walk up to Tahu and say, "Hi there, Tahu. You are now the president of Bionicles."
I think I did briefly touching on the Turaga again as well. I think it's very appropriate that the character who spoke some of the first words in Bionicle is also the character to speak some of the last in a very parallel way. I think that's very nice.
Yeah, it's all bookends. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Like poetry. It rhymes. It's a funnier character than we've ever had before.
What was that about Vizon?
I may have gone.
Mr. Not appearing in this fanfic.
I may have gone.
I did not include Vizon.
I may have gone a little too. I may have gone a little too far in some places. I'm going to sell Star Wars to Disney for $4 billion.
All right. Enough Star Wars talk. But the Bionicle is
like
fun.
Star Wars.
But yeah, I quite enjoyed this. This whole era of the Bionicle storyline is just like really was always very interesting to me. Because it was about the characters that I was already greatly attached to, and B, I just like I like my bleak stuff. I like my bleak storylines, and it makes it that much more cathartic when we get that big old triumph at the end, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I read a whole ass manga because I heard how depressing it was. It did not disappoint.
Right.
And then I read this. I read this a month ago.
Right. Yeah, I had a lot of fun writing this, and I'm glad that people still enjoy reading it. It's fun.
Good job.
It's been so long that, thank you. It's been so long that even when I return to it, it's kind of like I'm like reading it of like, oh yeah, that does happen. Which is always enjoyable. I enjoy.
I did write that, didn't I?
Right. It's like, oh, my mind.
Yes. Memory is a
Sometimes
funny
my genius
thing.
astonishes me.
Yes, memory is a funny thing like that. We can do things and then forget about them, and then it's like they're new.
I'm curious if there's anything you do differently now, looking back on it.
Yeah, more so girls. There's a few. Yeah, more girls could never hurt. There are a few things that I always considered like including or not including, like some deleted scenes. There was a whole point when I was writing the Myths and Legacy cut. I had this whole subplot I was trying to add that involved like Crotocol and Amphibax like fighting over like controlling Voya Nui on behalf of like either the Baraki or Makuta, which was so like out of left field and so unrelated to everything else going on that I was like, you know what, this is just fun fan servicey fanfic, but it's not going anywhere. It's not doing anything.
You can just write it as its own thing. You know?
Yeah,
exactly,
it's those ideas like that you can definitely hold on to for other stories.
Precisely. And so it's when you ask if there's a stuff I would change, a lot of that was changed in the Myths and Legacy Cup, and I got a chance to rewrite it. So I had a lot of fun with that. That being said, there's been discourse, I think you may have seen this in the Myths and Legacy server. We've had some interesting conversations where people talked about like how Kiara and Lariska are handled in this story and like criticized that. And I thought they had very reasonable and insightful criticisms about like, hey, I didn't like how some of this was handled. Like some people pointed out like it kind of seems like both Kiara and Lariska are sort of like put in this like agency robbing situation and then get rescued. Kiara's case get rescued by this cool like Batman guy, and I was like,
they're kind of damsels in distress. They're kind of damsels in distress.
Which sucks.
You can solve this problem by having Kopaka transition. Kopaka's a girl now.
If Kopaka were a girl, then this would all be solved. Well, so my thoughts on that are
the
like
Shadowed One transitions. Not all trans people.
Just makes it worse.
Not all trans
let me
people
finish
are
their
good.
point first. Hold on.
Yeah, no, I'm it's she her for me. But the interesting thing about that is that like so Kiara's inclusion was just a complete coincidence, as I mentioned, that her being Kiara was the last thing that I came up with. So it could totally have been anything else. And I didn't have a lot of intent behind that. The Lariska one, this is one element where I think the fic kind of suffers from me never writing much of the follow-up. Because so in this chapter 18, initially it did in the Time Before Time, and then it actually ended with like a cliffhanger of a Tauren that we knew from the Matanui Online game being resurrected on the Red Star after having died in the collapse. And that was going to be a stinger and like a teaser for the Powers That Be, which I imagined I would write in the next couple of months. Flash forward like 8 years and it's like, oops. But the thing is that like Rostas is a very singular entity because I wrote this during a summer when I was working in a lab and I was only there part-time. And when I was there, it was mostly just waiting for a centrifuge to run. So I had loads of time, just buckets and buckets of time to write. And I just basically used that summer to do it.
Did the spinny thing ever spin?
Yeah, no, a lot. I actually got published for making plays out of that, which was pretty cool. But
that's good.
Total accident. I was just lazing around writing fanfic and I got published for the work I was doing. So great win-win there. But but those circumstances have never really lined up again. I've never really been that idle for that long. Ever since, maybe quarantine came close and I did do some writing then. But
congratulations.
But I just haven't gotten around to, thank you. I just have never gotten around to like writing all the Spherus Magna stories that I expected I was going to write. I had ideas for how I was going to like continue everything back in 2016, back before then. I think I started writing this in 2014 and then polished it up then. But I had all of these ideas for the past 10 years, and some of them I still want to get around to. But the task of writing an entire like story serial and like making this whole like not quite a novel size, I think it's like half that, but like a children's chapter book size, it's just a lot of time that I haven't ended up dedicating. And so I mention that because I think that it does a disservice to the Lariska plotline, because the intention with Lariska and the Shadowed One was always going to be that, yes, this horrible thing happens to her, and in future stories, she's going to save herself from this situation that she's in, and to like really get herself out of this nasty situation with the Shadowed One, really manage to stick it to him, take him down, and assert her own freedom and like find her own destiny. That's always been my intention for Lariska, and then I've never actually written those stories. So the result is that it's just like we have this plot line where Lariska shows up and it's just like, hey, would that be fucked up or what?
Well,
with no real resolution.
I won't say too much, but go poke Lost Head and give Runners a read. See how you like that.
Yeah, no, I have heard that there are some Lariska fics taking shape and being posted, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I have my own. You know how writers are sometimes. I have, my own specific ideas for some stories about how I want things to turn out, and so eventually, I'm probably going to write my own stories, probably in the form of short stories, little vignettes about certain characters in the Spirus Magna era. Maybe stitching them together into, but probably not a big, broad narrative like this. Not an anthology that way.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely keep an eye out. I still have my archive for our own page where I originally posted this that I putz around on.
Oh, yeah.
And depending on whether stuff lines up with visions or not, maybe it will end up going hand in hand. But I'm not committing to walking that walk because, sometimes I have my own singular vision for how I want things to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to hear more about it. I love seeing how people expect these stories to end, and I'm particularly, really flattered and honored that Gonal and Bob Doe and other people who have read this fic have really enjoyed it and made it foundational to their own creative works. It's really exciting every time I hear about a reference that's worked in there or some other story that. It's like, hey, I really liked this idea in your story. Can I use that in mine? I'm like, of course. Why would I ever say no?
Mm-hmm.
That's really great. I like being part of that collaborative, a mythos of building on itself and really making this become more than just some story I wrote one summer and be an exciting part of the community that I got to be attached to. So sorry for pontificating. It has some sentimental value to me. I'm glad we got a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
I had ambitions once.
Yeah, my issue is I've had ambitions and now I have a salaried job.
Yeah, it's that's the way it is. That's the way it always tends to be. You either have ambition or time, but almost never both at once.
Mm-hmm. It is how it is. I do a lot of writing at my job when I don't have stuff to do, but lately it is very hectic and corporate up in there. So rough. Well, and I've been spending a lot of my time writing for my D&D campaigns anyway, so that takes up a lot of my time.
There are other things that interest you besides Bionicle.
Exactly. I got a life, I got other fandoms, but I will always be loyal to Bionicle. This was my first fandom and first huge fundamental obsession, so I've always intended to return to it, and I always intend to. And keep your eyes peeled. I will probably be I have some short stories, one featuring Helrix and 2 yet that I'm very excited about.
Ooh.
And one featuring Lariska and Rudaka.
Nice.
And one featuring the Sisters of the Scrawl and Anuna. Some really exciting stories that I really want to see myself finish, and I will probably keep you, up to date on those. More girls is the plan. More girls being not very good people, but being complicated and interesting, and having these really
complicated and
dynamics.
Interesting is better than good.
Absolutely, hard agree on that.
More girls that aren't just damsels in distress or femme fatales.
Exactly. Which, I have some regrets about how this original fanfic was written. Of just I would probably do the Kiara and Lariska plotlines differently to give them situate a bit more agency and make it a little bit more clear. No, hang on, we are let's make it their story, not just some other guys.
Maybe the Borak pods are empty because Kiara had blown up all the Borak single-handedly.
Right, even a small detail like that.
But you still got Gali and Maku kicking ass.
Yeah, Gali and Maku are having this amazing time. And Lariska gets to be real badass in other chapters, etc. So it's not as if that's the whole fic, but there's still some spots where I might redo it if I had to. But I'm content
like
with
how
it being as it is.
And it's things happen. Everyone is people. Bad things happen. People can be in bad situations.
There were characters and things happened, and it was good.
And I think what's most important, at least in regards to the criticisms about the situation with like Lariska and Kiara.
Yeah.
Is that I think what's most important is that you see the characters as like having agency, and it's not necessarily, you didn't intend for them. You weren't thinking of them as being, subservient or whatever,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It's more, you were treating them more as just regular people, like them. That I think more so like their gender is not relevant to their ability in the sense of
the Kiara
they need
one
to be
in
saved. No,
particular
they're just
like,
people in a bad situation. In the same way that male characters get in bad situations in this story and need to be saved by other characters.
Correct.
And I think it's important to keep that in mind. As long as writers and creatives have as long as the intent is good, because I can understand some people seeing something and be like, oh, this must mean the writer's intent is that they think of, they think this way, but I think it's very clear from the rest of the story and the other material that you don't think that way,
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Shattered One is not supposed to be based here. He's supposed to be very bad and very scary.
Yeah, and also just the fact that, and it's not because that Lariska's a woman,
Right, exactly. It's because of their
just
particular relationship.
He treats everyone.
Might look familiar to us in this gender dynamic because of how we experience our world.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think that between the two of them,
she's not,
she sees it differently.
She's not being captured and subservient because she's a woman. She's being. It's because she had Cthulhu live in her brain for.
It's just because she's the enemy of the Shattered One.
She's got Cthulhu. She's got.
He's doing what he's got to do.
She's got Cthulhu.
He doesn't have to do it.
She's got some Cthulhu in her, and he wants it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to say that just because I think that criticism in the context of this story isn't exactly reflective of the story itself.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate that perspective on it.
Because I can understand, people going to that sort of conclusion if they don't know the person or they don't if they look at those details in isolation and don't look at the rest of the story and how the writer treats the other characters in other situations, So it's
which ultimately you don't have control over as a writer.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the control over people. Not looking at the bigger picture.
They draw their own conclusions, and you gotta be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying,
haters gonna hate.
Don't feel guilty. I don't think that was a mistake.
I absolve you of sin, my child.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate that. This has been such a productive confessional.
Yeah.
On that note, we got to wrap this up because we've only got 15 minutes left.
I'll DM you about the rest of it. I'm going to save it because that's just more private. But,
thank you.
Yeah.
This was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love hearing people's thoughts on this.
Great. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the information you gave us on the story. I liked. There was a lot of the behind the scenes stuff you said that I really was like, oh, that's neat. I liked the way you the decisions you made and how you came to them.
Yeah, thank you.
I was happy to share story. That. It's good. I liked it.
Yeah, I was excited to share that behind the scenes. That's a fun opportunity to really dissect it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, what do we have next time, Liam?
Next time, we will be reading for our final currently planned episode. There might be a couple more after, but currently for the next episode, we will be reading Way of the Lawless, Remnants and Rejects, and Road of Fury with Bob the Doctor returning as a guest.
How exciting. All right. Well, that's it for today. I'm your host, Max Dudek, and everyone else say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Cats over and out.
Ta-ta.
Indeed.